the best boy, is here ready to go. What we're going to be talking about tonight is a recent schism within the Democratic Party uh, for the Maine Democratic Senate primary. A gentleman by the name of Graham Platner recently came under fire for accusations of having a Nazi tattoo and some of the statements he's made in the past in various areas. The question tonight before us is, does the fact that Graham Platner had what resembles to be a Nazi tattoo that he claims he got when he was drunk
You
disqualify
can tell,
him
Vash,
for
because if
running
the thumbnail's
for
good,
the
it's a real
Democratic
video, and if
Party
the thumbnail's dog shit, it's a live stream.
representative as the contender for Senate in Maine? Should that be something that we care about? Or is this just an example of cancel culture where we're canceling people for their past opinions that they've already recanted and already said that doesn't represent them anymore? We have some lovely individuals to talk this out. Friend of the show, Prime Kai, and friend of the show, Soy Pill, are both here. I'm going to give them a little more leeway than I normally do because there's just the two of them, and give them opening statements where they can introduce themselves, talk about their stance on the matter, and then we'll get into it. I'll have questions for both of these individuals, and if you, dear viewer, have questions, super chat them and I'll read them, and we'll see if we can get them to answer. Okay. With that said, I'm going to give the mic first to Mr. Prime Kai. Prime Kai, give us your thoughts. Tell people who you are and what you think. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here, Wick. Nice. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you to Soypill for being here as well. I hope to have a great conversation. Name is Prime Kai, Primecayes. Find me on Twitch and YouTube, um, and Twitter supposedly. But yeah. So Graham Plattner seems to be an individual with a lot of potential. This is coming from a leftist, right? I look at his platform and I like it. Um, I look at his uh, biography, except for the one thing, and I like it. Um, yeah,
Excuse me, just Google it if you don't know.
and I think that while this situation with the tattoo is very unfortunate, it doesn't seem to be disqualifying. Now, I'll say that while
Thank you, Sniping Cow, and
caveating
yes, you
that
can.
that's before anything else might show up, right? Assuming this is the worst of what is available from his past, and the other side, being the other Democrat, is going to keep digging to find out that there is something worse. It'll come out. We can be sure of that. Um, but assuming that's all there is, I think it. Um, this is an easy thing to move past, assuming his story is more or less correct on this. But I'll have more to say later on. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. And again, reminder, I have links to all these individuals' channels in my YouTube description, and you should at some point give them a follow for being on here. Next up, we have Soy Pill. Go ahead.
Yep. Hi, I'm the Soyful. I make YouTube video essays and I stream sometimes. Yep. Thank you, Wick, for having me, and thanks to Prime. This is, I'm sure, going to be 100% more cordial than 90% of my debates, and I'm looking forward to that relief, especially considering what I'm doing tonight. So, yeah, I think that Plattner, I agree, I like his platform a lot. The problem I have with him is that what he has done with this tattoo stuff, with his leaks, with any other research that's going to come out, because we're only 8 months ahead of the primary, and I guarantee you this is probably not the worst stuff. It just shows an incredibly poor judgment on his part. He joined Blackwater 11 years after the Blackwater scandal without any, second thoughts until he was already in it. He, like, the stuff he said on Reddit is, forgivable in my opinion. Like, he said some things that are good, some things that are bad. He's very lefty, things that I might consider based, and also some things that were like, a little like rape apologia, but it's one of those like, okay, if this is in your past and this isn't indicative of who you are today, then we can move on from that. The problem is that it seems to demonstrate a lack of judgment that is carried on until very much now, the present, where he didn't get this tattoo covered up. Anyone, I actually believe his narrative. I truly believe he's just a military meathead that got a random tattoo in the Croatia. I don't think he's a secret Nazi. I think his Reddit leaks are indicative that he's not a secret Nazi. If anything, he's the complete opposite. Maybe he's even more left wing that he lets on, but that doesn't matter because what it indicates to me is this man has incredibly poor judgment. And this is reflective of people in his campaign are now jumping ship. Twice now, I think his campaign managers have jumped ship. One of them because of the tattoo. The other one says it's because he's going to have a kid, but that's not why. And so it's 8 months before the primary. This is not the general election. If this was him against Susan Collins, I would 100% say, look, let's forgive this. And it doesn't matter. I want him in office. But that's not the case. We still have Janet Mills as an option, who's not as good as him, but is pretty damn good. She's too old, but she's got really good policies on healthcare. She had a good run as governor. And she's going to do basically diet Graham Platner policies. And I'm okay with that if it means that someone with a proven track record and years in office who is going to make life better for people in Maine is going to replace Susan Collins. She's polling better than him now, at least according to one of the polls that I've read. And I just think that he's a liability and should not be where he is. If anything, he needs to step down because we need another progressive to take this 8 months and replace him because that's the only way we're going to get someone better than Mills. But that's my take on it.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to open up the floor. If either of you feel like you're getting talked over by the other, just raise your hand or get my attention. I'll make sure they give you the space you need. But other than that, the floor is open. Go ahead.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Uh, so well, I would just ask the simple question, because I just didn't know where you were going with this. Why do you think the second campaign manager left?
So he says it's because he's going to have a kid in the future. And I think that's a valid reason in certain cases. But if you look at like historically, like any campaign that is taking off and people are excited about, if someone was going to have a kid, and I'm pretty sure he said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he's going to have a kid months from now, not next week, not 3 months from now, but like I think it was 8 months. Like he just found out his wife was pregnant recently. He would not be stepping down from this campaign. There's not enough work that you need to do to prepare for a baby 8 months ahead for you to leave. I think he's leaving right away. Because of the same reason the other person's leaving, which is this man is kind of a liability and I don't want to be attached to the optics here. Now, again, that's speculation on my part. That is not the crux of what my argument is based on, but I do think that the rats are jumping ship because this guy's not got the best judgment and it's coming off very poorly in the media.
So, people leaving your campaign, especially, and I understand that the second campaign manager left like very quickly.
Mhm.
Like very, it wasn't there long at all. That's never a positive sign, right? Just in general. Well, actually, I don't know. It's rarely a positive sign. I'll put it that way. I'll hedge my bets there. Um, but I think reading into it, um, uh, at this point, right, without further information, I don't think that should be enough to sway a person's vote.
I,
Oh,
I
okay.
agree
It's
that
like
that should not be the limiting factor at all. But I will
okay.
ask you this: do you think that if this exact same timeline existed, someone brought this up to me on Monday, existed for Obama's campaign in 2008, do you think the Obama campaign manager would have stepped down? Would he would have a baby in eight months, or would he been like, "Holy shit, I want to be attached to this"? I don't think so. And that's just again speculation, but it's not the main
I
argument.
mean, yeah. I mean, I don't. One, I don't know. Like I wouldn't necessarily compare the Platner campaign to the Obama campaign. I don't know if they're gonna get the same level of recognition, like purely from like a pragmatic, like career wise move. I don't know to get the same recognition,
Sure. Well,
the same
maybe then
benefits.
compare it to the
So
Mamdani campaign. Say this happened with Mamdani's,
uh,
and this is November, so let's say it happened in, I don't know, February. There was some, no scandal at all with Mamdani, and then Mamdani's campaign manager was like, "Oh, I'm having a kid," despite this being like one of the nationwide talks of one of the most interesting and momentous elections, despite being only for a city. I think that wouldn't happen with Mamdani.
I think. Well, hold on. I think it's suspicious, right? Like you know, sight unseen, I haven't met this individual. I haven't, interacted with them, the second campaign manager. But like, I think that it's perfectly reasonable to say that, like, oh, you're leaving for other reasons, right? Like, generally, when politicians are stepping down, or people part of administration are stepping down, they give us bullshit reasons for their resignation. Oh, I'm going to spend more time with my family. I think Rex Tillerson said the same fucking thing. Like, come on. I'm back in the first Trump administration.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I mean, you're leaving because Trump is a fucking nightmare. Like,
Yeah.
he's an actual goddamn nightmare. So I don't trust generally people's statements.
Sure.
I'm just examining whether uh, we should like how far we should be reading into it, right? Like, could there be a chaotic campaign? I think absolutely. I think there's a person who, to his own like according to his own biography, he's never been in politics before. Would I expect this individual to run like a clean like campaign machine? No,
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
at
and
all.
to be
Right?
fair, I'll grant you this. This could totally be because this person got on in the middle after this first person quit, and it's completely chaotic for them, and they're just like, "This is too much. I have a kid on the way. I don't have the mental space for this right now." Right? Like that's possible. I understand that. So that's why let's try to focus on the things that I think are, I guess disqualifying is the right word, but more of just like I don't want to be with this like campaign. I don't want
Mhm.
to support this. Again, and I want to clarify when I have the choice between him and another good but less good candidate, right? Because if this was the general, I am a vote blue no matter who person. But because we're so early in the campaign, I think this is the perfect time for this person to step down. So, what are your thoughts on whether or not he has displayed what I would consider judgment that will hurt him in office, not just potentially his electoral success, but if this person displays the same amount of judgment when he has the power as a senator, I think that could even hurt what I would want in the progressive movement because he wouldn't be able to get things done.
I don't know if this is an accurate of being the tattoo is an accurate display of his current judgment. Um, like you said, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Just can I just ask real quick? Do both of you believe that it was like a Nazi tattoo, right? That this tattoo, the skull and the crossbones, the way it was presented, that like whether he knew it was a Nazi tattoo or not, I'm just trying to find out if there's any like disagreement that yeah, this is a Nazi tattoo.
I think it like unequivocally is probably a Totenkopf. And I say this also is like if you go to Europe, especially Eastern Europe, like there's this weird culture around the Nazis. It's not like they like the Nazis. Obviously, a lot of them were persecuted by them, but there's like a almost like a Wehraboo like interest in like former World War II Germany. And like when I was in Kosovo, there was bookshelves full of Mein Kampf. Not because they all love Hitler, but because it was like, hey, this is an interesting, it's a best-selling book here because we're just so interested how this relates to the Serbian genocide and how these things sort of come about. And so in Croatia, them saying like, here's a freaking cool looking tattoo. Maybe it's the Nazis, whatever. They had drip. I don't know why they would throw it. I don't think he got it because he's like, oh, good, I can't wait to signal to my
Yeah,
secret
but I
Nazi
just want to
family
make
or
yeah,
whatever.
I just want to make sure you both are on the same page here. I'm not sure whether Prime is or not.
Yeah, my stance is more or less similar. I also think the Nazis were very well dressed. Got to give that to them, if nothing else.
Gotta hand
But
it to Hitler.
yeah, and you gotta hand something to Hitler. It would be unfair not to. Um, but yeah, so I think that the tattoo, as far as I can tell, that is exactly what they said it was. But I do believe his story that as an individual, just like, hey, like, what's a cool design, right? You got them all listed there. That yeah, he didn't know. I didn't know. I think most people didn't actually know. I think some people are pretending to know afterwards. I'm not putting this on Soybill. But like I think some people after the fact are pretending to know because it works for their political goals to say, well, of course you should have known. Like obviously not. No. However, um, I am more skeptical of the claim that he's only like recently finding out. I feel like he understood what it was previously. Um, and I think that this is a very valid red flag, right? So giving ground to my opponent here that yeah, like you should examine this, right? And if it's if the bridge you don't want to cross, being a main voter, then fair, right? I'm not going to argue with you on that. Nor will I defend like the use of Nazi symbols. Not going to happen, right? Um, Instead, though, where I think we can have some interesting conversation is uh, looking at this as a test case for the Democratic Party, right? For like the candidates that it will be presented with from here on forward, right? Platner is squarely a millennial, right? Which means he grew up with the internet. And people who grow up with the internet will not have clean records, right? There will be a ton. Oh, so much dirt, so much dirt. Right? Not for me. If I ever ran for office, that'd be great. There's nothing to look for, so don't bother. Um, but yeah, but like for most individuals, it's gonna be pretty bad unless you you grew up in a rural area and you only use um your internet like through your satellite connection to check your emails. Anyone other than that is going to have some shit. Um, and it's not as if previous candidates didn't also have these things. It's just that we couldn't find them as readily, right? They didn't have a culture growing up of just like putting out like your innermost thoughts and feelings, right? Now, I really am not one of these people, right? Like, I'm not a Twitter person. I think a lot of people watching here are Twitter people. I know, I know my friend Wick is a Twitter person, right? And if you look through like his timeline, I'm sure you're gonna find something that you find objectionable.
Hold on. What you'll never find is me having a
It's
Nazi
Nazi
tattoo. You
symbolism.
won't
Yeah, yeah, of
find
course.
that.
I'm not putting that
Yeah.
on my friend Wick.
Wick, Wick,
Okay, you're
Wick
not gonna
does Wick
find
does
that.
get shirtless on stream, and I have yet to see any Nazi
There you go.
tattoos.
True.
But just the point is that like we've put our thoughts and emotions out there, and again, stepping away from the Nazi thing just for a moment, but we'll get back to it, right? Stepping away from that, we'll get
Other
back to
other
Nazi
than the
thing.
Nazis, you got to hand it to them.
Other than the Nazis, right? Um, like I think it's something that we're seeing, we're running into, and we saw this with his. I'm blanking on his name right now. I'm sure one of you can remind me of the director who he's now running DC DC Studios. They used to be a part of Marvel, but it got thrown
James Gunn.
out of Marvel. James Gunn, thank you. Yeah, for James Gunn. Uh, James Gunn got into trouble because of like past tweets, right? And those tweets aren't great. aren't
Yeah,
good,
well,
aren't good tweets.
well,
Right?
this is akin.
But
Do you mind if I interrupt? Because
hold on,
I
let me
want to
finish.
say what the tweet was
No,
of
no,
James Gunn, right? Like it was. He
okay,
said,
go ahead.
he made like a joke about being a pedophile, right? Like he wasn't saying I like little boys, but he was like, haha, isn't it so shocking and disgusting that I'm making a joke about sleeping with boys or being attracted to boys or something, which is I would say akin to like kind of what Reddit leaks were for Grant Platner, which is all right. Maybe he's being a little exaggeratory here by saying all cops are bastards, or sexual assault victims should look out for themselves. It's their fault, or something like that. Like these are things where if you were to cancel him for these statements, this is kind of like, all right, you've dug up 12-year-old comments and said this is why he's disqualified. And I don't agree with that, just to be clear. Like, I do think that's like the cancel culture bullshit that it shouldn't happen to Platner.
One, I think the thing with Gunn actually was more than that. Gunn
Oh,
was a regular shit poster, right? And so there was a lot to work with there. Now I think I don't remember quite, but I believe if it was the pedophile tweet that put him over the edge, right, was the thing they focused on.
yeah.
Sure, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. But still, I know there was a lot more there. Um, and the point is that okay, as a society, what are we going to do? Because societal mores change, right? Like so, between when he said that, right, and then when it was found, like we had the Me Too movement, right? Like that was a big cultural event, right?
Mhm.
And before, when he said there was no big pushback. Even though he was a prominent individual, right? Less so prominent. He wasn't like running Marvel or like big in Marvel at that point. I don't think. But still, like he was, he was a director. He was an up and coming director. He was known, right? It's not like he was a nobody like me, like just putting something up there, right? But put him push back because culture is different, right? And so the culture is going to keep changing. but your tweets are going to stay the same,
Mhm.
right? Once you put it out there, is that right? Or your Reddit posts or whatever, right? Your emails, those things are going to stay the same. And I'm not going to say that nothing is disqualifying, and there should be no repercussions, right? I think everyone should, have to face some sort of level of accountability, but we need to recognize that in this like shifting, and I think very rapidly shifting moral landscape, and for the good, and mostly for the good, right? In this rapidly shifting moral landscape, people and their past selves are going to be left behind. And as especially as a Democratic Party, what do we want to do? Do we want to be able to give people a second chance? Do you want to say give them a chance to own up to their mistakes? Put it in front of them, say, "What do you think about this now? Is this your current thoughts?" If it's not, right, and they show evidence of that, right, well then we
Well,
can move past it.
well, so I agree with that statement in principle, guys. I don't like purity testing. I don't like kicking people out for like, oh, look at what you tweeted in 2007 or whatever. The issue here is I saw the Reddit leaks and I said, you know what, this isn't good. I'm sure you all like you were a direct subject of some of those things, right? He said like, oh, black people don't tip, and it was like, oh, that's awful, right? And like you were able to see that and say, I still think this guy's policies are good. In the same way that like if he had a Nazi tattoo in 2007 as a Jewish person and they covered that up in 2008 or someone pointed it out to him, I'd be like, all right, whatever. Like, I forgive this. The problem is that after the Reddit thing, I was like, that's still fine. We can recover from this. I agree. But after the Nazi tattoo thing, it's like, okay, this isn't, well, the culture was different back then. This is, okay, sure, maybe this was dipshit meathead military culture back in 2007, but you even conceded that maybe his, like, story is falling apart here. And this is like, I'm going to go down a logic tree here, and you tell me if this is creating, like, some sort of false dichotomy. Either he knew it was a Nazi tattoo, and he didn't give a shit. And he like the whole thing where he said, "Oh, it's my Totenkopf," like that was real. I don't know if that's true. If he did know and you knew he was running for Senate, it just shows poor judgment of, hey, why the fuck didn't you get this covered up earlier? If you know you're going to run for Senate, you're literally on video, shirtless, throwing this around. This shows incredibly poor judgment. Or he didn't know, which is his story, which is also plausible. And if he doesn't know, then he has this for 17 years. Why? Why, as soon as someone points it out to you, is your immediate thought like, oh, well, this was in the past, it's not a big deal, and not, hey, this is bad, and I apologize for this, I feel disgusted for this, but also, like, I don't know, to me, it shows that, like, if he truly didn't know for 17 years, and he just recently got it covered up, but then all of this kind of like contradictory stuff is coming up, it doesn't indicate to me that this person who is shirtless dancing around never got told once, hey, are you sure about that, buddy? Does that not show at least a little poor judgment to you in either of those scenarios? Obviously much worse if he's lying about it, but just in the more recent thing, it's like, okay, well, if you're not lying about it, then come on, man, like what was going on?
I think it absolutely shows poor judgment. But again, to my larger point, is that a lot of people have shown poor judgment with their online behavior. Now, this is like a physical manifestation of it, right?
Right. This
Like
is
this is
because,
like
like,
the own
yeah,
body, right?
that's the
But
distinguishing thing. Let's leave the Reddit comments aside, right? Because those are me expressing my opinions as an individual. That happens all the time.
yeah,
Permanently etching something onto your body is a huge step.
no, no, hold on. The reason why I'm relating it to that is that that will be the most likely thing to come up, right? Most like when we go through these scandals again in the future, and we absolutely will,
Because he's not
future
stepping down.
candidates.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, not
Oh, with other people.
Platinum,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Yeah, with other people. Yeah. When we go through these scandals again in the future, like it's probably not going to be a tattoo, right? Like this just happens to be like I'm saying a physical representation, but like it's the point. Like it was a like a poor decision at the time, right? Not understanding what a symbol was, right? And then not covering up immediately, but like that represents like um uh a like a history, right? A personal history. And uh, with our current society, right? Your online history is your personal history. And there's a lot of poor judgments. This is why I'm just relating the two. So I get you don't feel like the Reddit comments are disqualifying. Great. So we're on the same page there. But like that's the big comparison. And so
Well, can
like
I
what do we
clarify? I want to clarify before you address this because I guess I didn't say this, and this is important. I think his response to it, yes, he kind of apologized and tried to explain it away, but his willingness and his readiness to say this is the Democratic Party trying to ruin my life. Like if this happened to me, let's say I did a dumb meathead thing, I had a Nazi tattoo. Like I'm Jewish. wish everyone would know I'm not a secret Nazi, obviously, but they'd be like, what the fuck were you doing for 17 years or whatever? I'd say, look, I'm an idiot. I apologize. I did not mean to hurt anyone. I'm getting it covered up immediately, or removed immediately. And that's kind of what he did. But now he's also going on this thing of like, well, this is just the Oppo research against me. This is like the Chuck Schumer wants to get me out. And that's true. Chuck Schumer wants to get him out. He doesn't want him to win. There is Oppo research. This didn't come out of nowhere. But the idea to kind of deflect this as, well, they're attacking me and not take the responsibility of, I'm an idiot who got a Nazi tattoo. I think that shows like ultimately the poor judgment of even if he's telling the truth.
No, I mean, like he's already taken the responsibility. Like I feel like you just kind of had it both ways. One, you acknowledge that he did apologize, right? He did talk about like he made a mistake and it doesn't represent himself as well, right? And then you said yes, it is Opera research, but then you kind of put it together and saying, well, both of these things together doesn't seem right,
I
right?
think
Like
they're a little
yeah,
incongruent because to say like to blame it as the Democratic Party trying to ruin my life, it's like, well, no, you need to take the responsibility, what you did, but then maintain that as you fucked up. Like it's not their
but
fault that you got a Nazi tattoo. They just took a photo of it and reported on it.
two things can be true, right? Yes, he fucked up, right? Acknowledged. No one here disagrees. But also, the Democratic Party has a history of trying to destroy progressives,
Sure.
right? They're
Yeah.
the big enemy for the Democratic Party. It's not the Republicans. Republicans they can deal with. In fact, they'll find areas of agreement with them all the goddamn time.
Well, yeah,
But when it
Republicans
comes
wouldn't release this because it would make him more popular with Republicans, right? So,
Fair enough, exactly, right? Yeah. So I'm glad we're on the same page here. But yes, so when it comes to how the Democratic Party responds to leftists and progressives, yeah, they actually are. Yeah, they're trying to destroy your life. They're trying to bury you. They're trying to end like the leftist shift they see within the larger, Democratic base,
yeah,
right?
no, I
They're
agree.
trying to kill that as fast as possible. So when he says that on stage, yeah, that's an accurate description of what's happening.
But it's
I don't know
accurate
if
to
you
To
say that the
know that
Democratic
affecting him.
Party wants to not have these progressives succeed because they're not in line with their current platform. I agree with that. But then to say almost to abdicate a chunk of the responsibility to this is because of Chuck Schumer and the Democratic machine, when it's like, yeah, but you got to understand is this is going to come out. This is what politics is. Bernie Sanders has similar platforms. That's why he's endorsed and stuck by him. This is one of the things I disagree with Bernie Sanders on, among his weird border comments recently. But otherwise, huge Bernie stan. And it's interesting that Bernie Sanders, as much as you can smear him, you never were able to smear him like this. Like Elizabeth Warren tried, of all people, to be like, oh, he's sexist and said like a woman couldn't be president. When what he probably said was like, American people won't vote for a woman, which we saw was
The
true twice,
internet
right?
was
So
not around when Bernie Sanders was a young, dumb 20-year-old, right? Now he's probably
think
better
he had
than
a
most
Nazi
20-year-olds,
tattoo?
even then, because he was like marching along with the civil rights,
right, he has like a
movement
proven
there.
track record
Still,
of good
but
judgment, is what I'm saying.
even, but no, but how many people? How many? This is the heart of it. How many people are going to have those clean records and proven track records of good judgment, right? Good
More.
judgment.
Well,
All
here
that
let's
means
let's take a more one-to-one comparison. AOC, right? She's millennial. She's a progressive. She has done perfectly. They tried to smear her. Oh, she's a bartender. Oh, she lied about where she grew up. None of this stuff stuck because she does have good judgment. She's really politically savvy. She's managed to maintain progressive policies, but also integrate and work with the Democratic Party, which people shit on her for. I think she's doing great. I still love her. So it's like, okay, if she can do that, if we can have progressives like that Bernie endorsed, that Elizabeth Warren endorsed, what is wrong with
we
saying
do we
Graham
have a
Platner is
lot? Hold on.
not that good at the judgment? His
Do we have a
policies.
lot of do we have a lot of progressives that can do it? Like, hold on, let's take me for example. Just look at myself right now. You won't find any Nazi shit in my past. I can
Take
assure
your
you,
shirt off right
right?
now. Let's find out.
I mean, I can't assure, don't worry, I'll send you my nudes later, Wick. But we like so yeah, you're not gonna find any Nazi shit in my past. But like, and someone else made this point. I think it was maybe on TYT or something. I know I may be the majority report, but the point is that like as a person who's done a lot of freaking talking online, right? There's going to be things there that aren't going to be palatable to a general audience, right? And then someone else, right, in 2028 when I'm running, right, couldn't reasonably say, well, Prime, I mean, like he said this and this and this way back when. Does that really show good judgment? Is that something I would really want to? They would make the exact same argument. How many people are out there, right? Like, yes, AOC, sure. But how many people are out there who weren't thinking about running, right, from like the day they were born,
Yeah,
right?
they're not
Didn't
they're
have
not
their
these
eyes on
groomed
power.
candidates that are like perfect, squeaky clean. I understand that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Who lived a life, who was going to present themselves to a general audience, and not have things that like, well, they either deeply regret or maybe not so much regret, but still will not play well with a general audience. Like
Well,
that's
here,
just
let me ask you this.
that's the
I need to
reality of
jump in because
basic.
I agree with the sentiment again, but I
After you
think the
jump in, I
problem
got a
is
super
we
chats to read, but go
right,
ahead.
but we need to draw a line somewhere. And obviously this is over my line. It's not over yours. But I guess my question for you is, let's say that he had gotten this Nazi tattoo like last year, or let's say these Reddit comments were like 3 months ago. Would you consider that too soon? Because yes, all these things that he did were in the past, but his reactions to them and the way that he has done them are in the current, in the present, right? So joining Blackwater is in and of itself not disqualifying forever, right? In fact, he quotes this as what radicalized him. But joining Blackwater after being in the military, after knowing that there's a Blackwater scandal in 2007, is like, okay, so you were pretty stupid back then for not looking this up. But now you're, in the current present, you're like, well, I wasn't that dumb for doing that. And oh, I just got the Nazi tattoo covered up. And it's like, oh, those Reddit comments aren't really reflective of me now. That's now, right? So what would he have to do for you to be like, this is too far? Like, what is the line for you?
I'll
And,
wait
and
for
how
Rick
recent
to
would have had to be, right? Like, because look,
Hey,
I'll say this, right? Because I think the recency thing is important. I think we are going to see in the next 10 years progressive candidates who fell down the alt-right pipeline, like former groypers, like neo-Nazis who were like, this disgusted me, something radicalized me. And there's leftist commentators now that are like that. And yes, you can have some mistrust for those people and you can say, okay, what led you to that? Like, did you use the logic to get out, or are you just going with the flow? But I believe in redemption. I don't believe Graham Platner is irredeemable. My issue is, how soon does that have to happen where you're like, oh shit, this is bad?
okay. I'll let you think about the answer. Let's read a few super chats. Cameraman 502 for $5 says, the guy obsessed with APAC has an SS tattoo? Go figure. And go figure the left will defend electing the ink to leadership because he says things like they like. Thank you for $5. $5 from Gelatinous Rube to say, I would get a Totenkopf tattoo, but only if the skull had a Down syndrome shape to it. Full Shane Gillis expression, maybe some bushy eyebrows. Thank you for the $5. And then $5 more from Testicle Johnson to say, good point. All my favorite progressives have Nazi tattoos. Thank you for the $5. And if you want your comments or questions read on stream, continue to give me money and I'll continue to read them out. But that's all we got for now. So, yeah. Do you have an answer for us, Prime? What's the line?
So, uh, if sorry, we'll take one at a time. If he had gotten the tattoo last year, um, and the fact pattern was the same that like, hey, I didn't know. Well, then why would that affect any? Like, what difference does it make if it was like, if it happened, like in a more recent past, right? Like again,
Because
if
it
you didn't
shows
know, if
poor
he did
judgment
know,
more recently, is
different.
what I'm saying. Like, let's say you didn't know,
So,
right? Let's say a story's true, right? It's like, okay, you were dumb enough to get this back in 2007. I agree this is like dumb military meathead culture. But if you did it like 3 months ago, and there are better, and I guess I do want to return to this at some point, if there are better options, because you said, like, how many progressives do we have that can do this? Graham Platner is working because he does have the right messaging, but he also has like the gruff, like, oh, look at me, he's got a good voice, he's charismatic. There are still progressives that can do that. I know there's someone in Maine that could do what he is doing. I'm sure there's someone in his circle that could do what he's doing. The problem is he's not going to step down. He's not going to make the room for that second progressive. And I think that's on him to say, hey, I have too much baggage. My electoral chances aren't as good. But if he's doing this stuff recently, like this is hypothetical, right? If he had these comments like last week, it's the same with like these young Republicans leaking, where it's like, okay, maybe you're not a secret Nazi if this was 10 years ago, and this was on like Reddit or 4chan or some crap, but this is now. And I think that would be even worse. It would show more recent poor judgment. Like, why does that not matter to you?
okay, hold on. So let me finish answering. So once again, um, uh, Nazi tattoo last year, right? Assuming he gets it, and assuming he doesn't know. If he does know, that's a different thing. But if he doesn't know, right? One, like the poor judgment here is just that like you didn't have like a thorough understanding of a symbol that looks pretty rad, you know? Like I don't know. That doesn't tell me anything else. I think there are a lot. I see a lot of tattoos. I've seen a lot of tattoos, and I think. All right, I don't want to lose people here. Okay, right. I, I'm gonna say this in the nicest way possible to all you tattoo lovers. I think a bit more thought should go into that, just like in general, just like a blanket statement. Okay, I'll leave it there. Leave it there. Right. Some of them are great. Some of them fantastic, and like I'm even jealous of them. But I think for the most part, a little more thought would be a good idea. So like that's as much as I would condemn him, assuming he didn't know, right? However, like when we're talking about the Reddit comments, okay, so like I think that's actually
That's worse
going to
because
be
it's like,
inverse, right?
yeah, okay,
Because I don't think that gives him enough time to have actually grown out of it, right? I can believe that you grew out of things that you like said like 12 years ago, right? Like I certainly my positions have changed over that amount of time, and so I say that for him. But in 3 months, like or 4 months, whatever. Like, have you shifted? No, that would seem completely different. So like it changes. Like there's plenty of context. As long as we're keeping track of context here, we're adding that into our calculations here. And I think the thing that we should be adding into one again, like his previous red comments, as you stated during your opening statement, um like they seem to be saying that he's anti-Nazi. Okay, all right.
sure, yeah.
That he's anti-fascist. He called himself a communist. Right. He said all these things that lead you to believe that there's an incongruity with the Totenkopf
Right,
tattoo.
right. Again,
Right.
I will never try to say that he's a secret Nazi. That's pretty obviously not true based on the evidence.
But then once we understand that, now we're distilling it to just a mistake of like
Yeah.
picking the wrong design.
Well,
Right.
I'm going to
And
press you
then
on this harder then. What mistakes would you say would disqualify someone? Because it's not a Nazi tattoo a year ago or 14 years ago for this guy, or however long,
Reddit
18
comments three
years.
months ago.
So Reddit comment. So if he was as left wing as he was in the Reddit comments recently, that would be disqualifying for you. Because if anything, some of those
Oh,
things I was like, oh, cool. Like he's got some pretty interesting opinions.
okay.
Some of them are bad, some of them are good. But like I don't even
Sorry,
know if that would bother me.
sorry. What I mean when I say that is that if there is a bad Reddit comment, right, that like I don't think he could have grown out of them in that distance, right? I wasn't like pointing to any particular Reddit comment. I was looking at it in a more vague stance.
Okay, so like if you
Um,
said something like
so
racist or sexist like 6 months ago, you're saying.
yeah. Then I'm like, I have no reason to believe that you've grown past this. Like that seems like a cop out. Or like I don't know. Um, like maybe actions that a candidate might have done, right? Like not just like talk, because a lot of people talk a big game in on the internet. But like if he had done something, let's
Like
just
yeah,
say
like a
racist.
murder or like a rape or something like that. Like
Yeah, like a sexual assault. That's something to consider. But even then, okay, oh, this would be more
no, I
controversial,
agree
right?
with you on this point, by the way. If he was like a former felon from 15 years ago, and it's like, hey, he reformed, he got out of jail, he's had a clean track record for 10 years, I don't think that's disqualifying necessarily. In fact, if
Yeah.
anything, it
Hold on,
shows immense growth. But
hold on.
what Wick is going to disagree. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do disagree. I think that there's some things that because we're not just talking about like a normal member of the party, right? Someone who votes. We're talking about a representative of who we are as a party. I do think we have to have certain standards, and that includes if you do certain things, you don't get to be a representative of the party. There are other people who can champion the cause far better than someone who's had a Nazi tattoo or
Sure.
who killed
But
someone like
right.
15
So
years
so Wick,
ago, right?
and
Well,
that's
Like
kind of
well,
my
this
he's
should
that
just be
he.
disqualifying across the board.
Wait a minute.
and
He's in. Hold on. First of all, hold on, before you do that, hold on. He was in the military, right? And I don't know his service record. Someone else maybe may have more information on this. But like, what if he killed someone within the service.
Well, that's
okay?
different. That's
That's
like
that's
a
different.
No,
We're
line
not
of
talking
it's,
duty.
about murder.
different.
We're talking
Oh,
To
about
be
oh,
fair,
it's not a murder.
oh wait, I did forget about
And-
this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was he not a guard at Abu Ghraib, like after the Abu Ghraib incident?
I haven't heard of that.
I
I
think
didn't hear
Wick,
that
you want to
either.
fact
But
check
like
this while we're
even
talking, but like I'm pretty sure it's like one
Okay.
of those things where it's like, okay, again, you ignored the
sounds like it was
Blackwater
his job.
atrocity, joined Blackwater. Well, yeah, it's his job, but it's like, look, you're not gonna raise a stink
What?
or talk about the fact that you're like sitting in the place where one of the worst war crimes, like most famous worst war crimes existed, like, and then you joined Blackwater after. It's like the problem I have with
So
this,
I
and
don't.
fact check on that.
yeah.
Just fact check on that. He did say he served as a Marine on guard duty at Abu Ghraib, however the fuck you say it, in 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, so he was literally not, so this wasn't even part of his mercenary work. This was him as a member of the military, and that was the military facility. And then they put
All right.
him on guard
And
duty,
that didn't
right? There's no,
the Abu Ghraib didn't radicalize it. He didn't say, "Wow, they're committing horrible war crimes against people and like I'm
yeah,
participating in some way and I don't want
because
to
it
be a part of
wasn't.
this." And then after that, he joined the war crime mercenary group. It's like, look, I understand this is his past, but to Wick's point of like, look, Wick and I obviously disagree. I think someone who murdered someone like 40 years ago and is like a reformed felon, I think if they run and they have good policy and they have a clean track record of 40 years or whatever, sure, fuck it. Like I don't think that should disqualify them completely. Although, if there's a better option, and there is right now, which I think is Janet Mills. Like, I guess this is my question for you. What about Janet Mills shows bad judgment other than running as an
All right,
incredibly
I don't want to.
octogenarian
All right,
old
no,
person?
no more questions. No more questions, because I've like you keep interrupting me, so I can't
Okay,
like
I'm sorry.
fully like
Go ahead.
engage with this. So Blackwater, no, I don't think that's disqualifying. Now I hate Blackwater. Fuck Blackwater, right? They keep rebranding themselves to try to get away from their past war crimes, right? Not a fan of Blackwater. Not a fan of these mercenary outfits in general. Like fucking Triple Canopy or all the rest, right? Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of that. But from a perspective of a soldier, right? From a perspective of a service member who left the military and may not have been immediately employable, and like looking at their options available, like would it make sense for them to join Blackwater? Yeah, actually, especially if you aren't heavily politicized at that point, right? Like now it would be
Sure,
tough for me to do it.
it's hard for
Fine,
them to get
fine,
jobs,
fine.
yeah.
But I would say, yeah. It would be tough for me to do something like that because I know too much. I know a lot, right? And so like it'd be hard for me to look myself in the mirror if I joined Blackwater after just leaving the military with the amount of knowledge that I have now, right? But for him, right, and from what we understand of his past, no, actually, that it kind of doesn't make sense, right? But even then, let's say he did have like a full understanding of the implications of it, right? Yeah, people eat. People got to eat, right? Like, and it's unfortunate.
But
And
there's
so
so many
people,
vets that don't join Blackwater is
yeah.
kind of my
Sorry,
point.
wait a minute, hold on. How
Wick, did
many?
you
Okay,
join Blackwater?
what about?
I did not join
Hold
Blackwater.
on.
What
Let's
is
okay. Sh- but hold on. Okay, how many people are still working for Google? How many people are still working for Microsoft? Right? How many people are still working for Amazon? And those
Wait,
companies
sorry, I do
have
have to interrupt just
assisted.
because your sound cuts out and this is a Discord thing. I'm sorry. Can you say it one more time? What's wrong with Google?
Okay, sure. I was saying, I would just repeat quickly. How many people are working for Google, Microsoft, or Amazon, right?
Hmm.
And those companies have and are um, assisting, right, providing services for the genocide happening in Gaza,
Here's
right?
the thing
Like
about
they
this,
have.
though. I work in
Let's make
software.
it
I know a
serious for
lot of
that.
Google
I
software
guess we can make.
engineers, and you got
Okay,
to
do you?
understand is Google is
You got to
so
understand them.
widespread. It would be kind of like
Oh,
criticizing like Comcast, not for their shitty policies, but like
no, it's
because
too
they
much.
provide internet to everyone, they both provide
Yeah.
it to like people in ISIS and also people in California who are just regular citizens.
No, 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 no. They didn't
Google
have a
is not.
contract. No, Comcast doesn't have a contract with ISIS, right? Google, Microsoft, Amazon have contracts with Israel, and specifically,
Yeah.
like I believe it's Microsoft specifically has a contract for to assist with AI tools to do the killing, to do the actual killing.
That's a better argument for when it's like, here's a tool to mark targets in Israel. I think that's like Boeing, providing the bombs versus like Google or like AWS as like a storage thing that the IDF uses.
Aren't
But if you're
we
specifically talking
working
about
for
that,
No, well,
Google
actually, no,
right
no.
now
That's
on
still
YouTube?
the squad. No, no, that's still a problem, right? No, Why are you working with the idea of the occupying force? Because hopefully we all understand here. Oh, Wick doesn't understand this, I know, but history began before October 7th, right? The occupation, the theft of land, right? It was very well known before then. Like the BDS movement happened
no,
before
no, sure, sure,
October
sure.
7th.
Wait, but guys, let me
So
clarify something because, like, again, what AWS is not like, all right, Google guy, like, here's Netanyahu and head of Google meet in a room and they're
well, it's
like,
Amazon.
let's shake
AWS is
hands,
Amazon.
like, let's fucking get those motherfuckers. That is very different of like, look, here's a service that they provide as a cloud service to everyone, and I don't think it would behoove any company to like boycott, divest in the same way when they're that ubiquitous.
Ah,
Versus
yeah.
what you did talk about, which I do agree with,
Oh,
which is
okay.
here's a fucking tool to like mark and paint targets of like civilians and like try to distinguish, but this is like a weapon that they're providing. I do think that's different, and that is something that they meet directly with and communicate and understand the implications of. But this is like saying like, why does I don't know, McDonald's provide food to the IDF? And it's like, well, they have a store in
No,
Israel that
no.
they eat burgers at.
Why does McDonald's provide food for the IDF? I don't know if they do. But like, why would they? No, like these deprivations were happening. The theft of land was happening. The murder of Palestinians was happening. The imprisonment of Palestinians was happening. The rape
Yeah.
of Palestinians was happening. Right. The theft of land was happening. All that was happening beforehand too. Right. Like October 7th, right, or sorry, October 8th is when that accelerated. But like that all was true beforehand, and now we're saying, oh, okay, I guess like the evil was diffuse enough here, right? And we shouldn't blame my software engineer friends because I don't know, man. Like that type of evil, I guess is fine.
Well,
But now
again,
when we're
it's
talking
like
about Graham Plattner,
we're comparing a company that provides things to everyone, and in everyone is included
yeah,
horrible people,
in the
versus
field that you
Blackwater, which
understand,
is, hey, it is our explicit job to
yeah.
go in here, and we have an explicit track record of killing civilians on
Hey, are you
purpose.
a
Which I don't think
hey,
you
are
can
you a
paint Google and Blackwater in the same.
I
no?
just want to make sure. Hold on. I just want to make sure that two things. Okay, one, this isn't an Israel Palestine debate. I know
It's
it's that's a
but
bit off topic.
I
Let's rein it back in. And two, technically, we are all working for Google right now because we're on YouTube and Google owns YouTube. So just saying, we're just like
yeah.
Platner in that we work for Blackwater. I
No,
guess.
we're not. I'm better than Platner because I am not working for
Okay.
Google in support of Israel.
And then $5 from Prime, I'm sorry, from Cameraman502 to say Prime will cry about genocide while defending a well-known symbol of actual genocide. He has no
No,
principles. Thank you for the $5. Okay,
All right.
that's
that said,
dumb.
let's bring it
A
back to
well known
Platter.
what about?
Okay.
Sorry, what was the? Sorry,
He's
what was
saying
that
you're a
statement?
hypocrite because you're defending the mistake he made of the tattoo, and but then getting upset at the Israel thing, which is
Oh,
fucking
a
stupid.
sign of genocide, meaning
Yeah, it's like,
the Nazi symbol.
yeah,
Oh,
because Graham
I'm
Platter
not
didn't get it
defending
because
it.
he hates Jews. Like, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
Like,
I have maybe you missed it, right? And so you didn't see earlier in the VOD, right? So don't worry, I'll correct you. What I said specifically is that I don't defend the Nazi tattoo at all. It's a huge red flag, right? I stated that. You can go back and take a look at that statement in case you missed that. But no, I'm not defending that at all, right? I'm talking about you know, like what kind of party do we want to be, right? So, first of all, again, um, uh, like the thing about like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft actually, I think is interesting when our friend Soypill, right, is closer to an industry that he understands, right? And he's got friends in. He's like, yeah, I know a lot of people in there, right? And it would be weird if we like put that level of accountability for them working for companies that facilitate evil, right? Which is what the IDF does, right? But when I'm talking about this Grand Platinum, who, as far as we know, didn't himself, as far as we know, maybe something will come out, right? Didn't engage in war crimes, right? Blackwater isn't doing war crimes every second of the day. They're a mercenary company hired by the United States of America, right? Doing a lot of the same things, and this is what soldiers will tell you, right? They do almost the exact same job that they're doing, just for a fuck ton more money. And so if that's the deal that people are giving you, yeah, it actually makes sense. I can do the exact same thing while getting paid three, four, five times the money. Yeah, of course it's going to take it, right? Right?
I
If they
think the
say
issue is the
hold on,
level of
if in the
separation, right,
contract,
Prime?
hold on a second,
Let
if
Prime
within
finish.
the contract it says, right? Oh, include like party responsibilities, right? Are war crimes, and we list like a menu of war crimes that you're going to be a part of. Okay, that's a bit different, but that's not how that works, right? The fierceness of this evil. I guess we're just deciding the levels of accountability. He didn't actually take part in it.
It's
Like these were just like, go ahead.
it's levels, right? And I understand this, but the level of separation matters. So here's an example. I graduated with an aerospace degree, and in my industry in San Diego, 80 to 90% of those jobs are defense. Almost all of my friends went and worked for the defense. Do I think these people are complicit in war crimes necessarily? No, but I chose and I had to struggle to find a job that wasn't in that industry, which I had the privilege of doing. Not everyone does. In fact, not everyone can. There literally aren't enough jobs. But these people are all now working for Boeing, Northrop Grumman, or literally the Department of Defense in some cases. And it's like, okay, this is pretty damn close to you are complicit in what the US military is doing. And I don't agree with that. I think if I can avoid that, I'm going to. Now, we are talking and we are making an equivalence here between I'm joining an organization, which I think, like, on the scale of Google to Boeing, Northrop Grumman to Blackwater, this is the organization that did the war crimes, okay? And I think that is far worse than someone who is doing a software job, potentially doing a front end app for like the Google Home, and saying, yeah, I don't think this person's complicit in genocide, just like I wouldn't go to a Starbucks employee and say, you are complicit in genocide, or anyone ordering it for not boycotting Starbucks, for not participating in BDS, saying you're complicit in genocide, as the same as joining a paramilitary group that has a history and a track record of doing horrible, evil things. I think this is a scale, and I don't think we can draw an equivalence here.
Okay, how about this? Person goes to work for Caterpillar, right? You're an engineer, right? Caterpillar needs engineers.
No.
Are they complicit? And in
And
case if everyone,
okay, is
just
to
for the
yeah, can
audience,
give me the
just for the
no
audience
for me
knows,
too. Give me the
yeah.
context.
Oh yeah, sure. Caterpillar is they make like bulldozers and like whatnot. They're the ones that you are aware of their machinery. You see them all
Yeah, yeah.
everywhere, right?
I know what they
Like
do. Yeah,
and
I'm assuming.
backhoes
What
and
does the
stuff.
IDF use it to
They
like destroy Gaza?
they are they are avid supporters of the occupation, right? They are the official like construction equipment or destruction equipment used by the IDF,
Right.
right? And have been for many years.
I
And
would say that
so
is worse, right? Like not as bad as the Blackwater thing, but it's like if your CEO is like, "Here's me and my buddy Netanyahu, and God, do I love what the IDF is doing," and then you choose when given the option between multiple places to join this. Yeah, I think that's more akin to what Platner did. Yes, 100%.
okay. Right. So that's okay. So that's bad.
Yeah.
You'd say like, um, I would say so. The argument that I was making, right, was true. Try to show like the dissonance, right, and like, hey, I think it's convenient where you're making these
Like
levels of
when do I condemn? When do I not? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so like if I'm looking at an engineer. Well, I don't know. Engineering is a bit different because you guys do have a lot more opportunities. But no, no, I'll stay consistent here. I'd say that like, are you necessarily complicit in the genocide? No, but you're making a bad decision. Like once you find out, right? Especially if you didn't know in the first place, right? If you didn't know in the first place, and you joined an outfit, right? Okay, well then what are we gonna say, right? If you continue to work for the outfit after you know, right? Well, I think you get a level of accountability,
Yeah,
right?
and credit to
The
him, he did
accountability
say
for
this radicalized him. I left after what, like one
that.
term or
Yeah,
whatever, one deployment.
yeah, yeah. So like I'm trying to follow Graham Plattner's career here, right? So like now I'm putting him as an engineer in Caterpillar. Okay, so he doesn't know at the start, right? But then he does find out, and then he says like, "Oh, this is too much for me. I'm gonna leave." Right? Like in fact, now I'm gonna be a big BDS type of person, right? I look at that individual and say, okay, maybe you made a mistake for not understanding what your employer was doing at first, right? I think your accountability grows for how long you've been attached to that organization, right? And I take into account, right, you leaving that organization. I take into account you condemning that organization afterwards, and that seems to be like the track record, like the series of events here
Yeah,
for Graham
it
Platner.
does show growth. I agree with this, but I guess this is my main issue. And again, this is not me attacking him as like poor judgment in the past. This is if this person gets into office and he's shown that even recently, the way that he responds to things, I think shows poor judgment, even if it's much worse back then, obviously. Like the way that he took so long to do anything about this and then kind of got a hastily cover up that didn't even cover it up very well. I don't know if you saw it. He's still got the like little nipples of the bone there. It's like, okay, if let's say this person wins, let's say he's got the best electoral chance and we get him in. Now he's going to be trying to pass policy that I want, but still making bad decisions in that policy, maybe passing them poorly, maybe aligning himself with poor people, making mistakes that I don't want someone with my preferred politics to make. And so when I would see, like, comparing this to an AOC thing where it's like, I think she has really good judgment, I've seen her compromise where she needs to, I think she's going to, like, you know, have the power to run for a senator, maybe even president at some point. I want those people stepping up. And that's why ultimately, if he's still showing poor judgment now, yes, okay, he can overcome that. Yes, he can have growth, but I want someone better. And I know there are better people who have better judgment and still have these policies, and he needs to step down and make room for that person.
You've said this then. I'm really glad you made this comparison, right? Because I think AOC has shown a lot of poor judgment. While having policies that more or less match my own. No, I think she's actually made a series of bad mistakes. I think that she's desperately tried to make herself lovable, right, to the establishment, right, when they fucking hate her, right,
Why is that a bad
calling
thing?
because what she does is she subordinates herself to them, right, and she ends up voting along in the way that they want to,
Mm-hmm.
while actually taking stances that need to be made, right. So
Isn't that good?
like
Isn't that how
calling
you gain power and make connections? And that's why she has more.
no, that's first of all, that's not how Bernie Sanders did it.
Yeah, but that's why Bernie
Uh,
lost because he didn't have those connections.
no. No, Bernie lost. Okay, sorry, we're tangenting
Okay,
apart
this
here.
is okay.
But
I'm throwing
Bernie
a flag
lost.
on the play. This isn't a
Let me
Bernie
just finish.
Whoa,
lost
hold
in
on. I do want to talk
2016.
about
No,
this
I
no,
just,
though.
no,
no,
I
no,
just,
no, 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 no.
I do want to
We're
talk
not
about this
doing the
quick.
thing.
Can we please? Pretty please for
It,
me.
let me get through these super chats and then maybe. But we are far afield a little bit.
Well, this is
Okay.
important. No, this is directly related, Wick, because it's
yeah.
what would Platner do in office that
You're
AOC
talking about
is doing
judgment.
that he
I'll
disagrees
let
with
you
what
make the
AOC
argument,
did. Yeah.
but let
So
me make my cheddar. Okay. TL1524 for $5 says, "I'm sorry. This is how I know the left is full of crap. A whole news cycle was about Pete Hegseth, for those of you who don't know, Christian tat as bad, but a Nazi one is fine because my side." And
wait,
then
Wick, wait, no,
$10.
no. Well, you've got to respond to these. Okay. If he
Yeah, I got
still has it and he's unapologetically saying, yes, Deus Volt, let's do a holy war in America, which he fucking did in this book, that's very different from him going, oh, whoops, I didn't realize this was bad, and covering it up. So shut the fuck up, commentator. You're so
yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. I'm gonna agree with our friend Soy Pill here. The reason why I think there's a difference here, like I like the comparison, so thank you for making the comparison, right, between PCAGs. That PCAGs does have like whole a bunch of crusade type tattoos, right? Very Christian nationalist tattoos. The difference here between Pete and Graham is that Pete wholeheartedly is a Christian nationalist, right? Like that, like the tattoo matches his ideology full force, and he's not at all like disavowing that tattoo, right? He's very proud of that ideology. On the other hand, for Grant Platinum, this is what I was trying to draw some distance between these two things, right? One, he got that the tattoo is bad, right? Fair enough, right? But it's perfectly plausible he didn't know what it is, because I think most Americans have no idea what that is, right? Even now, still have no idea what that is. And then two, like when we see his statements, right, in Reddit, right, where he's like being full on troll, where he's like clearly
Yeah,
he's
like
not
all cops are
thinking of the
bastard, I'm
future,
a
right?
communist, like, and he's being
Yeah,
pretty sincere, yeah.
all of it is left leaning, right? Some of it problematic, but still left leaning and like anti fascist. So clearly there's a dissonance here, right? People can make a mistake there into like what they put on their bodies. Like they do it all the time.
Okay. $10 from Zonia to say, "Was Platner ever a commanding officer? If not, then these criticisms of him regarding the Marines and his merc work are pretty insubstantial." in my opinion. Thank you for the $10. Okay, now you can get back to your Bernie line. So
Bernie Sanders lost for a number of reasons, but I have lots of I have lots of criticisms of his campaign. But one of the main reasons is because, yeah, the establishment shanked him, and they shanked him because of his stances, his
Wait,
beliefs, right? That he was
but yes,
the
Prime.
progressive one.
That was my point,
What do,
though.
yeah, yeah, I know it's your point, right? I know it's your point. And so, what do we want? Do we want an AOC to get in office who's like so compromised that like she's acceptable to a Nancy Pelosi, right? Or
But
do we
is that
want
what
an
you think she is
AOC?
right now? Do you think she's like
I don't. I
compromised?
no. I think that I think she is compromising herself at this point, right? I don't think she's like a lost cause or anything, but I think that she's been making decisions, like for instance, like not voting to stop shipments of weapons to Israel, right? Like, yeah, that's the thing you do of for the benefit of the DNC to be a team player, right? That is the type of judgment I have a problem with, right? So we've
But
been
here's
having
the
a lot of conversations. One second. You've talked a lot about
yeah.
judgment, right? And what shows a lack of judgment, and like and what should be applicable. I don't think getting a bad tattoo is applicable, especially one as far as we could tell was a mistake, right? I don't think that's applicable to how he operates in office, right? You specifically bring up AOC, right? And you're like, well, oh, this one's fantastic. Well, AOC just keeps making decisions, right? That if you're a leftist, that you disagree with. They're a big problem, right? Some of them may be understandable, right? I get that politics, isn't it shouldn't be like a purity test, right? I'm not purity testing her. I'm saying that she's showing a track record of trying to subordinate herself to the establishment, not becoming a leader here, right? Not leading a movement. I think she's doing better actually right now, like in this very moment. She's
She's
actually
doing
doing a
really
better
well.
job than she was previously. Right now, I'm more impressed with her. But like for the past while, she's showing a track record of subordination. That is the type of like judgment that I'm concerned about, right? Are you going to be a leader in this party, right? Or are you just going to pulled around by the nose by whatever corporate pack
But that's the thing
you have?
about AOC. I have to say this is like her ability to compromise in that way is what's going to get her in power. It's going to let her be a leader because the people that are purity test, like I will never ever ever work with Nancy Pelosi, they get nowhere. And if Graham Platner is one of those people and that judgment is
That's not what I
reflective, I
said, though,
don't.
right?
I know, but let me finish. Bernie Sanders got rat fucked by the establishment in a few ways, like the superdelegates, the DNC showing killer favoritism, but that was because he was someone who did not make those inroads. And while I respect, and like I said, he's my preferred candidate, while I respect that he has been a consistent person with progressive policies that I want, the problem is if he is not able to do what AOC is doing now, and I think AOC is like, clearly being mentored by him, learning from those mistakes and saying, I do need to make some of those inroads because otherwise what's going to happen is on Super Tuesday, all the coalition of establishment Dems are going to say, hey, we're all stepping down and we're going to support Joe Biden. And yeah, that sucks. And it's unfair insofar as it's clearly them stepping on the scale, but he didn't have those connections and he's not going to win. So he's not going to be able to pass policy if he ever did get an office, which he didn't because he didn't get enough votes. And so my issue is if Graham Platner is showing that he doesn't have the judgment to make the kind of calls that AOC does, and I think, you say, oh, I think she's showing worse judgment because of the decisions. I think this is good. That's a disconnect there. I think that the things she's voting for, even the ones I disagree with, are, hey, she's doing a really good job ingratiating herself with the people that are going to be able to give her
Why
power.
does she have to
I
make
don't.
that bit about Israel?
I think
Explain.
that ingratiates her with the people that want her to make those votes, and
Okay, right. So yeah, so when we talk
ultimately,
about a
her making a
genocide,
statement
and
on that vote doesn't help her. But her voting in a way that gets people to help her with new votes and new policies and new, not councils. God, what the fuck is
so
the
we can horse trade on genocide, right? So I understand horse trading. Of course, it happens, right? It happens all the time, right? Like Bernie has
Wait,
stances
sorry, can you
on
say what
gun.
was the verb you're saying? I actually
Sorry,
don't.
sorry, I'm not
Horse
Horse
sure.
trading.
trade is and make
Horse
deals.
horse
Okay,
trading.
okay,
Horse
excuse me.
trading.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I understand like for instance Bernie has stances on guns that I'm not a particular fan of, right? And Bernie like I have lots of issues with Bernie, right? Still love him. Lots of issues with Bernie. But the point is that, like, I understand that within politics there is a level of give and take, right?
Yeah.
But also in politics, right? There should be things that are, uh,
You shouldn't
there should be
compromise on. Yeah.
stances the person should take that aren't up for debate, right? And it depends on which side of the aisle you're on, right? And so if it's like, maybe someone could say, like, a woman's right to choose, right? Like, maybe that should be part of the progressive platform, that hey, that we should be voting for a woman's right to choose, to expand that ability. It could be on civil rights, in terms of our LGBT brothers and sisters. Some people would say that, right? And me personally, I would say, yeah, the when we're talking about the genocide, right? Like, actually, why are we horse trading on that when she
Just
didn't
to be clear,
even
was
have
this
to,
about
right?
the present vote on the Iron Dome thing, or is it a different thing? I'm sure there's been multiple votes on this.
There's been multiple. I don't have it. I don't have it on me.
Well, because
Sorry, I don't. I
I'm
don't have
looking
it.
up the one
Are we
about the
talking about
present
the
vote.
Marjorie Taylor Greene vote to remove um, weapons funding, or not weapons funding, but funding for the Iron Dome? Is that what we're talking about?
I forget which one. Honestly, I don't remember the
Okay, so you
exact one,
don't
so I
know
don't
which
want
one
to.
that you're mad about.
Well, because I'm rereading and I
Well,
remember
no,
this like
I'm sorry.
present
I'm
vote, and
sorry.
I'm
I
thinking like I
didn't.
think she did show good judgment on this. It's like, yeah, whether or not you like, if she had voted yes, let's vote for all arms to go to Israel, which I don't think she did. First of all, I think the Iron Dome is like one of the only things that the IDF does. I'm like, this is probably fine. It's like almost purely defensive. Worst case scenario, they accidentally miss, but it's like one of the one things I'd be like, yeah, I'm okay with funding this and not the fucking 2K
Yeah, I'm not okay
bombs.
with that. No, I'm
Really?
not okay with that. And yeah, no, fuck that. No.
Okay.
Like,
Well,
yeah.
regardless,
Again,
she
not
didn't
an
even vote.
Israel-Palestine debate.
Right, right.
Let's
Yeah, that's
reel
why I
in.
said
Let's
regardless.
get back to
Regardless.
Platner, please, for the love of God.
Well, this is all the judgment thing is the relevant thing, where it's like, do you think AOC has good judgment, Wick? So it's like, I think voting present on this and then coming out with a big statement saying, hey, I'm sorry to all the people that I disappointed in the community, but I'm opposing the Iron Dome supplemental bill, but I did this because of some policy, blah 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 blah. She had an explanation for this that, like, whether or not you agree with, I don't think shows poor
I
judgment.
don't agree with it.
Right, right,
No,
okay,
I think
but
it does.
okay, well, okay. Then finish
Yeah,
what you were
well,
saying then, because I guess we're just
sure.
not going to see eye to eye on this one particular thing.
Yeah, I think it does show poor judgment. I think it shows, one, a lack of conviction. That, like, when it matters, right? Like, you don't like make the affirmative action, right? You're trying to. I think the reason why she made that statement is that she was trying to stay below the radar, right? Like, she didn't vote against that bill, the Marjorie Taylor Greene. I believe that's the bill that I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't.
she voted
I just
president.
don't
Yeah.
remember. Yeah, she didn't vote against it, right? Like, if you're going to vote against it, then vote against it, right? But no, is she even? She just like, I'm just going to vote present, right? Which is the same as voting against it,
Right,
right?
and
But
in
still,
her
she's like trying to stay
explanation,
under the.
she says, I'm not, well, this isn't verbatim, but she's like, I did not want to start a contention with the House Majority Leader, like, in the middle of, like, this big conflict. I want to turn the temperature down, because ultimately, voting no on
The House
this,
Majority Leader.
voting
The
no on,
House Majority Leader. That's. I'm sorry, I didn't see this. Like, she said, the House Majority
I
Leader.
can read the whole paragraph. It
Um,
says,
Go ahead.
the reckless decision by House leadership to rush this controversial vote within a matter of hours and without true consideration created a tinderbox of vitriol, disingenuous framing, deeply racist accusations and depictions, and lack of substantive discussion on the matter. I want to be clear that the decision to rush this vote, virtually preventing any member from meaningfully consulting with their community, was both intentional and unnecessary. Even the night before, as it became clear that the discourse around this issue was quickly devolving from substance to hateful targeting, I personally had a call with the House Majority Leader to request a 24-hour stay of the vote so that we could do the work necessary to bring down the temperature and volatility, explain our positions, and engage our communities. That request was summarily dismissed. Not only was the request dismissed, but despite the House having almost 8 straight hours of votes, this vote was chosen to be the first, despite being one of the most controversial. So, to me, it seems like she's like, okay, I'm trying to tone down the temperature. I'm just going to vote present. I don't want to like make a big stink about like this big thing, which will ultimately not stop this funding from going through. And whether or not you agree with that, because you can disagree with that, and I think could be reasonable, I don't think is like, holy shit, AOC has poor judgment. Like, especially when
Yeah.
we're comparing this to, oh, we got a dumb tattoo. It's like, yeah, you etched a Nazi symbol onto your body permanently. I think that's way worse.
Yeah. So like, in a moment where AOC has a lot more information than Graham Platner does in terms of this tattoo, right? She has a lot more information. She is well ensconced uh, in her community, right? And she knows like, oh, she needs to like take this to her community, see what her community is going to say about this, right? And bring down the temperature. Bullshit! Like I can't believe this is what you fought for. Like I'm glad I didn't know. I didn't hear about the statement previously, right? Because it would have only made me madder. Like, are you kidding me? This is like a politician Weasley words. Oh, we're gonna bring down the temperature on this. But how is she gonna bring down the temperature on the Israel Gaza debate, right?
No,
When
no,
is that gonna
not
happen?
on the
Well,
debate
no,
in the communities.
how many,
She's
how many
referencing the
weeks?
debate in Congress and how that she needs to like. This
When
is what I'm
when
talking
was
about.
that?
She's like,
When was the temperature going to be brought down in Congress about like the Israel Gaza? How long would she have needed to bring down the temperature there? Right?
no, it's about not turning it
Let me
up by
know.
causing a big stink about this the
Oh,
day they try to rush
turning
this
it up
through.
would be a big problem. Oh, okay, yes.
I
Having
don't know the
vitriol
inner
in
workings
Congress,
of the
that would be the
congressional
big
politics,
issue.
but it seems like
Yeah,
this was a
yeah.
judgment
Hold on,
call that you can
but
disagree with.
but
But
okay, yeah. So, hon, when we're talking about judgment, like, and what type of judgment is applicable? Because there's all types of judgments, right? There's like judgments in terms of your romantic partners, right? People can have poor judgment in terms of their romantic partners to devastating effect, right?
mhm.
That's a thing, right? But if you have a poor judgment of your romantic partner, does that mean you're going to be a poor legislator? I probably not, right? There might be some instances, maybe I say yes, but like I would say probably not. Is there poor judgment in like you as a parent? Maybe you aren't attentive enough to your kids, and you say mean things to them that you shouldn't do, right? Is that going to mean you're going to be a poor legislator? Probably not, right? Maybe, but probably not. So when we're talking about a tattoo, like that you didn't know what that was, which you've already agreed to. Well, if that's the case, yeah, probably not. That judgment doesn't apply. Now I'm talking about specifically with AOC, right? An example of a record, right? An
Mhm.
example of her using Weasley fucking words to get out of making the appropriate vote for her community that she damn well knows, right? Which is why she put out the statement in the first place, right? Because she damn well knew what the response was going to be. Yet she did it anyway, right?
Well,
And then you're saying,
can
well,
we
we
analyze
shouldn't
what that choice
do
is,
that.
right? Like,
Well,
would you say like is poor judgment? Let's again, this is not something I disagree with.
so hold on.
This is
So we
would
can
you say it's poor judgment to say this will hurt my chances of getting things that I know I can actually effectively change with a vote if I make a meaningless but like a virtue signal vote that won't change the policy but will alienate me from people that I need to work with in the future? Do you think that is
sure.
poor judgment? You can say I don't agree with it, which is fine. I don't think that's poor judgment.
Sure. Okay, let's change. I'll answer that, right? Well, I'm
Answer
going to
it,
throw it
then I have
back.
a question.
I'm sorry, go
Okay,
ahead.
so
I'm going to throw it
answer
back
the
at you.
question, then I have a question. Go ahead.
Sure, I'm going to throw it back at you with a question, right?
Sure.
So we're just going to change. We're going to change the vote, right? Let's say it was to uh, 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 stop the reinstating of Jim Crow,
Yeah.
right? And instead of voting for the affirmative, stopping Jim Crow, right? Even though it was going to uh, a vote she was going to lose, right? She just voted present,
Yeah.
right? Hey, I need time to take down the temperature and talk to my constituencies about like reinstating Jim Crow, right? Like, would you say that's not a big? Doesn't
Yeah,
really.
my assessment would
It's
be
not.
the same, where it's like this is abhorrent that this like legislation is being passed. But if you're able to not alienate certain people in this party, now obviously I think her as a brown person, I don't think her connections with any Republicans, although I think she was doing this for her connections with Democrats, would matter. But yeah, if she was able to then mitigate damage later with votes that actually matter, yeah, I would say that's good judgment. Now again, you might
Yeah. Okay.
disagree, but
That's
like,
awful. Yeah. I
what
fucking
do you
do.
mean? Like,
So
can you
what wouldn't be? Hold on. Replace that, right? Like we can keep replacing like in terms of Japanese internment camps,
no,
right?
make
Like
it worse.
you'd
Say it's
say,
like
no, that's
it's the
okay. Just
bill
like
to
vote
kill
present.
half of
What are we
Americans,
talking
right?
about,
Like, and you
right?
voted
Hey, wait a
present.
minute.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about what do you think of Barbara Lee? Barbara Lee, you might be familiar. Representative
Yeah.
Barbara Lee was the only one to vote against the I believe it was the authorization to go to war
In Iraq, right?
in Iraq, or was it the
Yeah.
Patriot Act? It's one of the others.
It's one of the two.
I'm
Yeah.
forgetting now. Yeah, but one of those two, right? But she was like the sole vote in the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
So you would say, right, like it doesn't matter. Like we don't need a person to do that. Like she should.
I'm not
It's
saying that necessarily.
equal.
What I'm
Hold on one
saying,
second. No.
yeah,
It's so let me finish. Let me finish. It's equal, right? It's an equal choice, either to make the negative vote and take that stance, right, or to just go along with the crowd, right? You look at a those two paths and say, no big difference, right? In fact, if she goes along with the crowd, then maybe she can get something better
right.
later on,
No, I
right?
do
So
think that's
why be
ridiculous, and
great?
I don't necessarily agree with that, right? So it depends on what the circumstances are. I think that making a statement as the sole no, even though you won't change the legislation, does have its place. But there are also places where you have to make a statement that is going to be bad, even like the worse than AOC. Let's say Obama on gay marriage saying marriage should not be between two men, but then later, because saying those things allowed him to get elected in certain states that would be anti-gay marriage, did allow him to push for legislation or push the Supreme Court and Joe Biden to push him into being more pro-gay marriage. Like these are compromises, and they're not always correct. Sometimes you make a miscalculation, you do something that you think, okay, this will help me make the connections, but fucking a, I just lost my whole constituency, and they're never going to vote for me again. And yeah, they can be wrong. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is, I don't think that doing this in this case is showing poor judgment. It could be a bad decision, and you can agree with that, but I don't think it means anything close to what I'm worried about with Platner, which the whole debate is about, which is I think that this person won't make those good decisions. He's shown me that he will not make a calculus that I might disagree with. He's shown me he does things in ignorance, and he does things with what am I saying? Not impulsiveness, that are not what I want in a representative. That's what I'm worried about.
Okay. Um, I do want to get it back on the Platner thing, and maybe this question will help. That statement did help a little bit. To Prime, if we are to
Yeah,
excuse Platner's tattoos and such now,
I'm not
what
excusing
is this?
anything.
Say one more time.
I'm not excusing anything, right?
Well,
I'm
if
not
you're
excusing
advocating
anything.
that you're still going to vote for him and still think he should be the candidate, are you not
That's not
excusing it?
no, that's not an excuse, right? That's there's difference, right? There's one to say that like this this is a non-issue, right? I've said like, hey, this is a red flag. We should be keep track of this, right? Like keep that like okay. Let me try to illustrate this, right? Like I think like let's look at this as a flask, right? This is gonna be our flask. This is gonna be like our no vote flask, right? And in this flask, we're gonna fill it with things that will make it that make us want to vote against a candidate, right? And so like we'll add like their like policies, right? They got some policies that I don't like, just a few, right? On parking tickets, maybe he wants to like up up the price of parking tickets, right? Well, I don't want to really vote for that, but so I fill up the
Only for
flask.
rich people,
It
I'd
does
agree.
yeah, yeah, right. Then maybe it's his upbringing. Well, I mean, he was a rich guy, right? And so like he's not gonna understand me. So that fills up the flask. But we haven't yet got to like the top of the flask where it overflows, right? You can put the tattoo, right? Him getting the tattoo within that flask. I'm saying it doesn't, for me, go past the point of no return, right? It's a consideration that I'm adding to the calculus, right? I'm not excusing it as like this is a nothing burger, right?
I
And don't
understand.
even bother looking at it. But like it's not enough, right? It's not determinative, certainly.
I guess what's getting me is that I heard people tell MAGA voters and Trump voters all the time saying, "Well, you yourself might not be racist, but you're okay with racism." And what is to keep others in the right from turning on us and says, "Well, why are you mad at that guy, the racist Hitler group chat, right? But you have a candidate that you're endorsing who has had a
Racist
Nazi
Hitler group
Wait,
tattoo."
but
chat.
this is the same as the Pete
Oh,
Hegseth
that's
thing because he clearly doesn't demonstrate any of the values that were aligned with the tattoo, which is why I don't think he's a secret Nazi. And if a single fucking dipshit right winger comes at me and says, "You're okay with a racist if I voted for this guy in the general," it's like, go fuck yourself, go look at your entire
But
party, you
this guy
fucking
had a Nazi
moron.
tattoo for 18 plus years, knew it, and there's evidence that he knew it was a Nazi tattoo
Yeah.
for years. Does that say nothing at all?
Well, again, Prime and I disagree. I think it shows poor judgment that I think is disqualifying. He doesn't, but both of us agree this is clearly not a Nazi guy. His texts were leaked, or his Reddits were leaked. He's not fucking a secret Nazi. He's not out there like spreading right-wing propaganda. He's the complete opposite. So I don't see how that that is never going to hold water when you have Stephen Miller and like all these other people in office right now doing white nationalist shit. When you have Jack Posobiec going and like working with the White House, who's literally a Nazi and like works with Jason Kessler and Richard Spencer. Like that is never going to be the attack that works in the general. The thing I'm worried about is if he can beat if a Democrat will vote for him, if they are upset about it and they're like they like me say this guy doesn't have good judgment, they don't elect him, or they don't elect him after he wins the primary. That's the problem. But it looks like, again, maybe this Prime we can talk about. One, if his campaign manager says he knew about it before, and you said that this might be true, we don't know. If his campaign manager is saying this, does the lying about it not show poor judgment or something that you would distrust in a politician or a leader?
I'm not sure if it's. No, I won't dance around that. No, that shows poor judgment if it was the case that he lied about it. One, because I think you should understand by now, especially since the whole thing, this all came up in the first place, is that like you're gonna get caught, right? And if you lie about this eventually, like they're gonna find something, right? And so yeah, like I would say that would be an example of poor judgment.
But not enough for you to not vote for him, right? Like, why not?
Because I mean, like okay, um,
Well, what don't you like
a
about Janet Mills, I guess?
I'd asked that earlier too.
the corpse.
It's
What
just
do I
that she's old.
what
That's my
do
biggest
I
issue with her
not
too, to be
like
fair.
about the corpse?
to,
Like, I
to be fair,
mean,
she
I
did say
think
she'd only run for one term, like Joe Biden, you kind of
oh,
alluded to,
just
but
like Joe Biden,
yeah,
really.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so with Janet Mills, I mean, I don't think she's like completely objectionable. Like, first of all, what we're talking about here is a primary, not a general, right? So we're not like comparing like like a Republican, right? And so like yes, I'm going
Old
to
versus
find
Nazi tattoo, yeah. I mean, which you gotta go
we're
for?
gonna find areas of agreement there. But like what I want is a progressive, right? Like my goal. So like something that like I didn't get to say previously is that I disagree with our friend Soy here, and I think we've disagreed before on panel. That on vote blue no matter who. I used to be on that timing. I'm not on that timing anymore. Fuck that. No, right? Like the my yet another radicalizing moment for me was October 7th. On that, right? Or at the very least, a response from Genocide Joe on that. So no, I'm not a vote blue no matter who. It actually matters to me which one I get. So like, if I don't get a candidate that meets my standards, right? No, I'm not going to.
Even if that
That
means the
being
world
said,
is worse off, like I don't understand the sentiment. Let's
I know
say
you don't.
let's say
I know.
let's say
I know you
Platner
don't
loses.
understand.
Let's say Mills is
I,
worse than Platner, right? And Mills gets in and she loses to Susan Collins, and they have
hang on. No, wait,
like, isn't that worse if
one
Susan
second. One second. One
Collins
second.
stays in
I
Senate?
didn't say. Hold on. I just wanted to make that statement. I'm not necessarily saying that Janet Mills doesn't meet m- my
Oh, your threshold.
threshold,
Okay,
right?
sure.
Yeah. I don't know enough about Janet Mills to be sure of that, right? Uh, from what I understand about her, I just want to like make that clear that like we aren't on the same page on that level.
Okay.
But from what I understand about it, she just seems to be a more or less a standard corporate Democrat. I don't like standard corporate Democrats. Now I voted for standard corporate Democrat. I have one that was in my district. I voted for them for years, and I'll like continue to vote for them. Right? I don't have a choice in that matter. No one's stepped up, and well, you know me. I've said too much on the internet. So, but like, yeah, she doesn't seem like she's going to push the envelope on any particular policies. She's just going to
Why do
be
you say
more
that? I
of the
mean, like,
same. And
do you like she's been governor? She has a pretty proven track record. She won more votes than like anyone since like 1970. So like the Mainers already love her. She got a lot more people insured. Like I think 100,000 people, and she's like really good on the environment. Like these are all things that I'm like, yeah, this is not as good as Platner. She's not like a fight the oligarchy, like thing, do the progressive things I want. But it's like,
sure,
hey, if this person's
sure,
currently polling better, shows good judgment, has a track record in office, I'm going to enthusiastically say, yes, let's get her over the guy who clearly has shown poor judgment. And that's like my whole issue.
Yeah. So once again, I think that uh, his level of poor judgment, and I agree, poor judgment has been shown, is not disqualified, right? And we're talking about a primary. In a primary, I want what I want, right? Like the primary is the time I get to have a choice, right? I don't get to have a choice during the general. Well, I do have a choice. I cannot vote, but like which is a valid choice.
Well, then, would you agree
But
with my statement, which is what my best option? This is pie in the sky. He should step down and be replaced by another progressive now, 8 months before
what
the
other
primary.
progressive? Sorry,
Okay,
what other
again,
progressive
let's
would do that?
say it can't happen, but like hypothetically, is that not something that you would want if it could? If maybe it's idealism, but like, wouldn't that be way better?
Sure. Oh, no, I'll give you this. I'm not married to Graham Platner.
Because then you would have
I'm
leaked
not
the
related.
tattoo thing if you were.
Yeah.
Imagine that
um,
staring at your
dur-
face every night as you're anyway, go ahead.
during our nights of passion, yeah, I would
Yeah.
have taken a picture. But no, so I'm not tied to this individual, right? And so if there was a better progressive option, right, that would have a better chance of getting into office and pushing my progressive policies, well, then yeah, I would support that person. I'm like, all right, well, like looking at this from from a cold politics standpoint, right, and not simply getting a Democrat to office because that is a different calculation,
Yeah.
right? But getting a progressive into office, which is the calculation within the primary, right? Well, then I would go with the second progressive if they also were like assuming they were equally as strong.
Here's my question: how far would he need to fall in polling against Collins for you to say, I'm going to call, even if there might not be a replacement right now, I'm going to call for him to name a replacement?
I don't know. Uh,
Like, let's say this. If
I
after
don't.
this, the polling was still like 40-40, like people are still pretty divided, I would be like, look, it seems like it's not going to hurt him. I'm not going to fight him on this. If it doesn't hurt him, it doesn't hurt him. If he wins, right? But it looks now, based on all the polls I've seen, this is hurting him. And it's like, okay, well, now you're not going to win. And now by not stepping down, you are sabotaging my chances of getting a real progressive in by not trying to get a successor in there ASAP and giving them 8 months to actually campaign until June. Like that is, again, bad judgment in my opinion. But if he was right
No,
to say, I'm not going to admit
disagree.
anything and I won't step down, and it didn't hurt his polling, then I'd be like, well, I guess it's not bad judgment. Clearly it's working, but it looks like it's not. And that's my issue too.
I don't think that's not how like I've seen enough campaigns to know like the to and fro of them of like the mountains and the troughs, right, of an election. Graham Platner is facing a negative news cycle. Graham Platner has ads against him. He has a lot of money arrayed. He has like DNC statesmen, elder statesmen, like against them, like Zoran did, right? Like he has like an array of like bad attention coming to him in this way, right? And in this moment, yes, in this news cycle, he will absolutely be hurt. I don't know how he couldn't be hurt in this situation, right? And again, because I think this is a red flag, an acknowledged red flag, and when that happens to any candidate, right, you are going to see a dip within the polls. What I'm going to look for is the recovery, right? Is there a recovery? And we got to give them some amount of time. Now, it doesn't have to be 8 months, right? We can say maybe in 2 months, right? Like, hey, this
There's a good chance in
hasn't,
2 weeks everyone just forgets. I'm not going to deny
yeah.
that.
So like when facing a negative news cycle, that alone is not enough to like once the news cycle moves on, right? And he's still been campaigning, he's still drawing massive numbers of individuals to his rallies. Like if his poll numbers don't improve or just keep sinking, yeah, he's got to go. He's got to go. But otherwise, yeah, that's not enough to convince me.
Okay.
Nazi tattoos, negative news cycle. Okay, here we go.
Who among us
Um,
hasn't had a negative news cycle, Wick?
I understand. I understand.
Oh man,
I
if
guess I
my
just
high school files get leaked, Wick, I'm done for. All this dumb shit
I
I ever said.
look. I I understand. I do. I get you. I just don't know if it's wise for us to open this box of permissions because other people are going to take it much further than we should. I do think that there is value in drawing a thick red line and say doesn't matter the context, doesn't matter the everything surrounding it. There are certain things that are simply disqualifying. Period.
Context doesn't matter. We're now
I think that there are
Republicans.
certain things that,
We're,
in the interest of not having this push beyond what we want, that we should draw just a thick red line around it and say it doesn't like this is just
Wait, I'm going to turn my question back at you,
I'm
Wick.
sorry.
If Graham Platner was polling like 90-10 to Susan Collins, and Mills after this, Mills was polling like 10-90, would you still support him?
Okay. So first of all, thank you for the super chats, aka Batozai and Doobie $10 for a very important message in DMs. If this is your dick again, I'm gonna be very
Again?
Okay, A is a Nazi, and this is his $10 message, okay? And then I'll answer your question. But A is a Nazi who promises to kill 5 million Jews. B is a communist who promises to kill 5 million Jews and 1 capitalist. C is a liberal who promises to completely erase an indigenous group of 3 million. Who should we vote for?
Who's the capitalist?
Doobie, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's the thing.
I
to
might go
answer your
for B,
question-
depending on who the capitalist is.
Yeah,
Even if
to
I'm one of
answer
the
your
5
question-
million.
To answer your question, frankly, if Platner was polling at 90-10, I would be very, very concerned that we have accepted that kind of behavior in the party. I would not support him, even if he pulled
Really?
very, very well.
Even
Like,
if he because this is
well,
my
well, let me ask
utilitarian.
you
Like,
this.
as much as I'll
Hold on.
defend AOC's stuff,
Soy
if he's
Pill.
the one who can take Collins down, I'm gonna support him, even if I
Hold on,
denounce
Soy
what
Pill,
he's
so
done.
What if he had been found to have CP on his computer? Okay, he has CP on his computer, and he's still pulling 90-10.
Mhm.
Right? He's still probably going to unseat Collins.
I
You
wouldn't
gonna let him go?
support him personally, but I would say like, hey, we're still gonna vote for him over Collins. Yeah,
Hold on.
absolutely.
Yeah, hold on.
Even if he
Hold on.
had CP on it, hold on,
Well,
stop
yeah,
time, stop
yeah,
time.
Wick, I'm
Wick,
gonna
Wick,
answer
were
you
you-
directly. No, Wick, I'm gonna answer you directly because it's the problem with your lack of context, right? He has CP on his computer, right? But someone else put it there, right? But like your statement
no,
as
No,
a
no, no.
saying,
well,
In
yeah,
the
he
in the
had it on
hypothetical,
computer.
Graham Platner
No, no,
is
no.
jerking it to CP.
No, but he doesn't add that, right? He gets you to assume all these things, right? But like that's context, right? So what you just did there, Soy Pill, is that you added context. Oh, okay, now he's jerking off to.
Well, that's the point of the hypothetical, is what I'm saying.
Right? No, it's not. Hold on, no, but the point of the hypothetical, point of me
Because for
attacking the
Soy-
hypothetical, because I'm attacking what he said previously. We don't look at context, right? So if you add additional context to the scenario, right, that like he's jerking off to it, okay, well that changes things. If you had additional context that he's not jerking off to it, and in fact
Yeah,
that
no
someone else
one-
put it on,
He
no
just
one
likes
had-
art.
Okay.
computer.
No one chose that tattoo for him. He chose
Wait,
it himself.
wait. Wick, I think actually someone did choose the tattoo for him. That's kind of the story. Is like all his drunk military buddies like get that one,
I
you
thought
know,
he
like
picked it out. I could be wrong on that.
maybe,
Right.
but it was like a drunken stupor thing, is my understanding.
Okay. Either
I'll
way,
put the responsibility on him.
if I
but
found out I had
so-
CP on my computer, and even if someone put it there, and I kept it there for 18 years,
I didn't know it was illegal.
Yeah, it'd still be a problem.
Well, Wick, I don't know if I was on a pen. Well, no, because I have to answer
So-
this for you, because this
so
is
yeah,
a
answer the
question, right?
question.
Yeah,
So,
no, I don't know if
90-10,
I've told you
you'd still vote
this,
for him over
like where I'm
Collins?
like, yeah, if Joe Biden, like in the general election, had come into my house and raped my whole family, I would have still voted for him. Yeah, like that's how much I'm like, I will compromise to stop Donald
Hold
Trump,
on,
and,
if
and
Biden
I would
had come into
unseat
your
Susan
house
Collins
and
and rape
raped
my
your
whole,
whole
made
family.
me watch, tied me down, and he laughed in my face. He's like, "What are you gonna do about it, Jack?" I'd be like, "Damn, but I still gotta unseat Trump because that's more important." That's the liberal libtard mindset. All right, that ultimately
are
I'm
you
able.
serious
I
when
am
you say
I'm 100% serious. I am capable of projecting that ultimately this will be better for more people, even though I fucking hate this person, right? Like I'm understanding of like this is a utilitarian calculus that like, yeah, I fucking hate this. Yeah, I want to like hold my fucking nose and like not do it. But like, yeah, if Bill Clinton and Donald Trump somehow ran for third terms because that's the new like fucking litmus test, like, yeah, these people both are probably on the Epstein list. These people both probably did weird shit with kids. But you know know what? Bill Clinton's fucking better. And I don't give a fuck about like the personal thing here if ultimately it's a choice between these two things. But that's why it's a primary now. And I say, hey, Graham Platner, this guy has good policy, but holy shit, does he have bad judgment? I'm going to vote for Janet Mills, who's a diet Graham Platner.
Good judgment to say what you just did aloud about how you'd let Biden rape your whole family.
I didn't say I'd
You'd
let
still
him
vote for
do
him
it.
over Trump.
I said I'd let him get away with it.
Do you think that evidence is good judgment?
No, what it evidences is not like, oh, good, the soy pill has no values. What it is wow, the soy pill is able to understand that there are things that are going to affect other people. And just like I condemn people who abstained from Kamala, even if their families were being blown up in Gaza, that she was complicit in helping happen, ultimately, it's going to be so much fucking worse for more people under Trump that you got to hold your fucking nose and say, let's try to push them on this when it comes to like a part where I can actually push them, and not let's let Trump, the guy who says let's let Israel do whatever the fuck we want, get into office.
Here, I disagree. There are
that's
fucking lines that if they're crossed, I don't vote for you, even if the other guy's worse.
Yeah. No.
What's the point of having morals? What is the point of having morals if your fucking life gets destroyed?
I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna run this baton for you, Soy Pill, right? And I thank you because it gives me the chance to yell at Wick, which is my fucking favorite thing to do. Okay, Wick, I don't understand why you don't agree with Soy Pill, right? Like, you're a vote blue no matter who got you. You've been that way the entire campaign.
No, he's not
right?
now.
Hold on. No, I'm not a vote blue no matter who. I'm a vote blue because MAGA's worse.
Well, even if Joe Biden raped your family, Wick?
MAGA is still worse in terms of their policy. Like, that doesn't change the scenario, right?
Yes, but there comes a point where I say,
I know.
both houses.
Okay,
but so you let MAGA win.
It says something about your morals, right? It says a lot about your morals. That okay, it's fine when the IDF literally, and we have the proof, right? Rapes, sexually assaults Palestinian prisoners that they have, right? They just rounded up these people.
That shit.
Yeah. I didn't say Biden. I said Biden. I said IDF. I said IDF. Hold on. I said IDF. I said IDF. I said IDF. I didn't say Biden. I said IDF. Excuse me. Right, so that the IDF literally does like gang rapes in prisons, right? Like takes Palestinian prisoners and forces their anuses on a metal pipe, right? We have pictures of that metal pipe. When the IDF does that, right, and then those soldiers are let go because a mob of Israelis show up at the prison, right, and are mad because people are like they're being prosecuted for the rapes, right? When that happens, right, and Biden still supports. Right, you're like, oh, I guess that's fine, right? I guess that gives me a level of distance from the crime that I guess I can still support. But now it's my family, and now I guess it matters to me. My family's being raped,
selfish,
right? But other people's families are fine. That's okay for you.
Oh, hold on. It's not just that, though. Yes, I do love my family and will protect my family more than strangers. Over the
I know.
Doesn't mean we shouldn't care about those people.
There's something about
we're talking about levels. We're talking about levels of separation where Biden didn't do any of this. Biden administration.
He just empowered it. He just made sure it could happen.
That he has to another administration. The entire thing. He did that, which is a different thing.
The entire thing. Yeah. He didn't do it himself.
Different.
No, he didn't.
If you don't understand how that's different, I don't know how we can have a conversation.
He did. Yeah. No. That's right. No. He didn't take a bunch of Jews out into the forest, right? Make them dig a mass grave, right? And then have troops shoot at them, right? So they dropped in. No, instead, right? He just bought the guns for them, and I don't know why people are upset about that, right? He just armed them. He just armed the Nazis, and so what's the big deal? I think it's bullshit, right? I think everyone like you who vote like that is gonna be bullshit. But at least Soy Pill is being consistent here. Right, he's being consistent. He's like, well, hey, like even if the crime happens to the people who are closest to me, no, I'll still vote for him.
Because Wick, I don't understand. It's like, I'm able to say I don't care. Well, no, I have to ask because I gotta agree with Prime. Like, no matter what, like let's make it realistic. We don't have to do the Biden raping example. Let's say you had family in Gaza that were getting blown up. Would you not say that ultimately the Biden administration would be better for the country, and I will still vote for him over to stop MAGA, right?
Because Trump has made it worse, right?
Okay,
like, even
what's the difference between Biden blowing up your family and Biden raping your family?
Biden and Trump was always going to be worse for Gaza.
Right.
Yes. So, yes, even I would be morally consistent and say, even if I had family in Gaza and I wanted to protect Gaza the best way I can, if I have the option between these two people, Biden is the way to go because my family will be more likely to be safe.
Okay, but if
under
Biden's
Biden
president, he's going to let the
than Trump.
IDF rape them in a prison.
Okay. Again, we're talking like that happens every day, all
It
the
happens.
time.
It happens.
And,
Occasional rape.
and Trump wouldn't stop that.
Biden only raped your family once, so it's not an everyday thing. Don't worry, it's just the one time. Just the one time. He just did.
Hold
He
on.
just
Biden
diddled.
didn't do
He
you keep
diddled
on,
your family
keep on
just the
doing
one
this
time. Just the
connected
one
Biden
time.
doing
It's
this.
not a big deal.
Biden isn't doing any of this.
Prime, I love that we came together at the end of this.
No, that's
Biden isn't
Biden
doing
is
I don't know what
paying.
you're talking about.
Biden with full knowledge of it is paying for the diddler to come to your family's house, right? Sorry, he does have a little distance to it. I'm sorry. We want to make this accurate, okay? Yeah, I said too much, right? He's just paying for the diddler. Oh, okay.
It's because there are other groups who are going in and murdering and massacring thousands of Jews, and he's giving money to protect that, right? To protect those Jews from dying, okay? And you're very mad at that for some reason, right? We can
Whoa,
interrogate
okay.
that
As a Jew, you
flag,
cannot hide
right?
behind Jews for
But
this take, Wick. I
Yeah,
don't think
I
you're
know,
allowed to use
Israel,
me.
hiding behind the Jews.
Israelis, people, human beings, okay? Now,
Yeah, hold on. But then,
Israel
so then,
does some dog shit stuff that I do not support, but I will absolutely give money and support giving money to the Iron Dome because
so
not protecting the people who are raping people. It's protecting
I mean,
children
it is. It is,
so there
because
was
they're in
more than
Israel.
10
walking down the street
So
who've
there was
done nothing
so there was
wrong.
more. So wait, there was more than 10x, right? The amount of victims on the Palestinian side, on the other end, right? More than 10x, right? And you
Yes,
would
because
say,
Hamas
that's
put
okay.
them in
Because,
front
oh,
as
yeah,
human
yeah, hold on.
shields.
Well, the IDF, hold on, the IDF put those people in danger, right? The IDF has been
I love
running the
that we
occupation.
turned this into a Wick on
right?
trial
Has been running this
debate. This
occupation
is
for
great.
decades, right? They did the ethnic cleansing beforehand with the Nakba.
We're gonna talk
They've
about
been
my
doing
take
all
after
this, and
this.
so I guess
All you
they're
people saying it's
all
dog shit.
acceptable targets, correct?
Hold
Right?
on, of
I mean, they
course
put them there.
not.
Don't just oh no, not right on. They're just on the other side of that wall, right? Those were communities just on the other side of the wall of
You know what? Hamas could have built bomb shelters for them to hunker down in, right?
yes,
They
with all
could
the
have
money
worn
they had, with all the
uniforms
building materials
to
they had, but
actually
they didn't have
fight
that.
the
They
IDF,
didn't have
but they
that.
didn't
Yeah,
do any of that.
I know
What they
because
did
Wick,
was they
don't
hid
bullshit us
behind
because
men,
I know you.
women, and
Yeah, because I know
children,
you don't give a
innocent,
fuck about the
and
Gazans. I
let
know you actually don't give a fuck about the Gazans.
I did the
Hold on,
Jewish
like,
thing,
oh,
guys.
well,
I came
well,
into the debate.
yeah, I know.
I sowed
because,
discord between the
the entire
authorities
time
and the
defending
community,
Israel, like
and I walk
during
away
this
an agent of
genocide. The
chaos.
entire
Hold on.
time, that's exactly what you've been doing, right?
What I'm
And so
doing is I'm
you never gave a fuck
attacking
about these people,
Hamas.
right? And so, yeah,
I'm
oh yeah,
saying that
attacking
if I
Hamas,
had to choose
and
between
all the
Hamas
way,
and the
right?
IDF, I'd choose the IDF.
10x. More than 10x the amount of civilians died, right? And now you're saying, well, it's their fault, right? So it's Hamas's fault those
yes.
people died.
Those are on Hamas.
But it's not Israel's fault. It's not the
That's
government
on
of
Hamas,
Israel's fault that
100%.
those other people died. Even though there's an ongoing
Oh, the
conflict
IDF has
happening,
some
right?
blame
There was
too.
an ongoing conflict.
Oh, the IDF has some blame too. But Hamas is the reason why all this is happening. Without Hamas, it would not have happened.
The people. Yeah, sure. Okay, great. Yeah, at that point, yeah, it
Should I
was the reason
change
why
the
they had
title of
to
my
starve
stream
them.
to be about Israel and Palestine?
Change
Go
it.
ahead.
I've got
Yeah, I had
some
to-
super chats, but regardless, my whole point is that you have to have some principles. There has to be lines.
You have no principles. I
I'll
think
do
you're,
it
you're
Psycho Squid for
bullshitting
money.
right now. Yeah, I think you're
wrong.
showing that. Like Soy Pill showed he had principles, right? Even though I disagree with those principles. Soy Pill showed he had principles, but you, right? When it happens to your family, that's when you draw the line. I guess it's too much, right? Others can get raped. That's fine with me, right? Others can be assaulted. Other babies can be starved, right? Other people can be bombed and set on fire, right? But it doesn't happen in my family, right? Or the person who did it didn't pay for it to happen in my family, whatever, right?
Biden didn't
And that's
pay
okay.
for it to happen, right?
Bullshit.
All he did was protected men, women, and children from getting raped by Hamas, by getting beheaded by Hamas, by having Hamas go in and ethnically cleanse and genocide them. That's what Biden did, right? And somehow you're very against Jews being protected from being killed by
danger
Hamas.
had already stopped.
And that's weird.
Hold on. Wait a minute. It's like, hold on. This entire 2 years, was Hamas fighting within Israel's wasn't Hamas fighting within Israel's territory? Was that what they were doing? They were fighting within Israel's territory. And what Biden was stopping
why were they
was the active rape
in Gaza?
No, that already had
Could
that
it be
already
that they
happened.
took 200 people
had already been
hostages
ended.
in
That threat had
Gaza and
already
hid
been
them
ended.
in Gaza?
That threat had already been ended by like October 9th, right? When all the fighters have been pushed back into Gaza, right? So that had already
Hold on.
happened. So don't bullshit us saying,
They
oh,
had
Biden was
hundreds
defending
of
them from not
hostages
being raped.
well beyond
Bullshit.
October 9th.
Yeah, they had the hostages, of
Yes,
course.
and they had it where? What territory did they have those hostages
Yeah, they're
in?
having it in Gaza. And how
In Gaza.
could we have
So
gotten them
the
back,
IDF had
right?
to go
And so
into
we had to
Gaza
slaughter.
to
And so
get
we had
them.
to slaughter. And so and it's acceptable sacrifice, right? To starve babies for those hostages, correct? Right? It's an acceptable
Do you think they should have just let those hostages die?
No, you can negotiate, which Hamas was always willing to do. Right? That's why they had the hostages in the first place.
Hamas
They were
was not
negotiating chip.
always
They
willing
had
to
they
negotiate.
literally were
insane.
at the negotiating table during the Biden administration. You're bullshitting us, right?
That's not
don't worry,
true.
Wick. I see you. Yes, they were. They
Hold on.
literally
Who rejected the ceasefire agreements? It was
Netanyahu.
every fucking time. We can go
Israel
through
kept
each
moving
one.
the line. Israel multiple times. This under the Biden administration, I can provide you sources, and you've been providing these sources before, right? So like again, you're pretending ignorance on this, right? But like there are articles, right? Like from people within the Biden administration talking about during the time, right? Like during that administration, they were put deals down, right? And Hamas would agree, and then Netanyahu would move
Not
the
agree to those
goalposts.
deals. That's just not true.
They literally did.
That is
Okay.
not
Once again, I see what you got to do. I see what you desperately have to do, right? To make any of this make sense, right? You got to pretend Hamas is some sort of intractable evil, right? And to destroy that evil, hey,
Hamas
it doesn't
is
matter what the
intractably
sacrifice
evil.
was.
Yes, I will die
Yes,
on that
and
hill.
so it doesn't matter how many people died, right? Hey, if
No,
it was
it
a million
does.
people,
If you think
if it
I
was
support
hey,
everything
if it
that
was a
Israel is
million
doing,
people, wait a minute.
you're
If
incorrect.
everything remained the same, and a million
Yeah, I agree with
Gazans
Prime
died,
here, and I think
right?
I
Like
think the debate's
half
over,
of the
guys.
population was
No more
wiped out.
Platner.
You'd say it'd be worth it, right? For what happened October 8th, right? It's 5 years down the line, we've killed 1 million of them, right? And still for those hostages, you say, yeah, that's an acceptable loss.
Of course not. There is a line, but we
So there's a number.
How many people do you think
okay.
have died
Yeah.
in the Gaza?
So how many? So is it 10x? Is it 20x? Is it 30x? How many until the death is just too much, right? How many starving babies is too much for Wick?
I'm just looking at how many have died in Gaza since October 6th. Because you keep saying numbers, but there are actually numbers that we have, right?
Yeah, go ahead. So I'm asking you what the limit was because
it's not a million, it's not 10 million.
I didn't say it was. I just obviously made.
Obviously, there is a threshold.
Obviously made a hypothetical. I just obviously made a hypothetical. It was a hypothetical. I didn't say that 1 million died. Correct?
But
I didn't say 1 million died. Great.
Yeah,
so I'm asking
6x.
you,
It's
right?
because of the disproportionate amount of deaths in Gaza versus the October 7th. That's all he was saying, Luke.
Yeah. You agree that there were more people have died in the ensuing conflict than died on October 7th, like Israelis, correct?
Of course.
Okay, right. So I'm asking you, right? At what point does it become too disproportionate for the response?
Sure. I don't know where the neck begins and the head ends, right? I can't give you an exact
it should disqualify
specific
Biden, but if it's
holy
already the end of the
sacred
general, then it doesn't matter
right?
anymore.
But obviously it's more than what has
Obviously
happened.
now, yeah, I know. And people were saying, because I've been following this conversation.
I went and I ran and grabbed
10,000 deaths. Well, okay, that'd be too much, right? If it was 20,000, well, sure, right?
What if it was only one?
Stop, right? But at some point, one person.
Yeah, 1,201 died on their side, and only 1,200 died on the Israeli side. Would that still be a problem? Would you stop? Like, you understand that more Germans were killed than Americans, correct? Do you think that the Germans were the good guys? You don't understand that more Japanese were killed than Americans, correct? Do you think the Japanese were the good guys?
I think it's a war crime. No, I thought it was a war crime to kill, like to drop the bombs on Japan. I think it was a war crime. The bombing of Dresden, right? Like, yeah,
bombing of Dresden, maybe, but the
Charlie video is going great.
Atomic bomb,
collaborating with my editor.
They were absolutely. No, I've already gone through this, and we can have a debate on this. I did this on Destiny. I think you were there, but maybe you weren't. I don't know. Way back when, right? I had a discussion about like how it was actually like the Japanese were looking to surrender. The war was already over They couldn't prosecute the war
No,
anymore. There's plenty of evidence to say
even after the
that
2 bombs,
actually it was a
they were
war crime.
trying. There was a coup attempt because the Japanese did not want to surrender. There were people within the Japanese government that did not want to surrender.
I didn't say
This
they
was
were all.
even
Hold on,
Wait,
I didn't
wait,
say they
wait,
were
wait.
all on the same
Nagasaki and
I have a
page.
question. I have a question
A
for Rick.
coup attempt applies that they were trying to uproot the current political direction. Correct? Right? Yeah. Any which way.
Wick,
There's plenty of evidence to say that they shouldn't. That there was no need to drop those bombs. Right? Especially on civilian populations. Actually, yeah, I'd say that.
Wick, I'm curious. When you said I have plans for if this debate circles the drain, is this what you're talking about?
No, this wasn't what I was talking about either. But let me read some super chats because people have been paying money, and I want to give them satisfaction. Okay. $5 for Alexander Rin to say, sounds to me like Soy Pill just justified the election of Donald Trump by the people who thought that the left was doing everything he is doing. Thank you for $5.
Yeah, if you're
$5 for
stupid
Zonia.
and don't understand reality, and you think that the election was stolen because Donald Trump lied to you, then you would have been justified in voting for him. But the problem is that he's lying and it's not true. So that's the big issue: is that everyone on the right is fucking retarded.
Okay, $5 from Zonia. If the feds raid these guys live on stream, I'm not going to do a spit take. Thank you for $5. $5 from Ash Baclareth. What is the point of having morals if you let the world burn? Also, must say,
Ash
Soy's hate is looking spiffy as always.
hat.
I'm assuming he meant hat, but he said hate.
She meant hat. She's from my chat. I
Oh,
don't know why she's not donating in mine.
You should donate in both chats. Donate more. Solemn Arcus, member for 22 months, 1 month closer. Do you have a goal? Thank you for the 22-month membership. $5 from Malik to say, Soy Jack, would you vote for Pol Pot over Donald Trump? Or Vladimir Putin over Trump?
No, I think Pol Pot and Vladimir Putin are worse than Trump, which is not a very high bar.
Sure. 100 ARS, whatever that is, from Real Serious, to say, Prime probably thinks that if one U.S. soldier commits a war crime, then the president has to commit seppuku live on national TV to disavow it.
100%. That's exactly what has to happen. No, you got me.
$20 from AKA Batozai. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. $5 from Metalworks 41190 to say, what if I don't
Thank
fully
you,
agree
Ash.
with
I
your
was giving you
premise on
shit. It's
Israel?
fine.
And
You
it's
give
history.
me plenty
I
of money.
think you're promoting propaganda. Which one? Who are you talking to, Metalworks? Alexander Rin for $5. Soy Pill.
What's up?
So the end justify the means? As long as you believe
Yes.
something to be true and believe you couldn't be wrong, you're justified in anything?
You're justified in your own frame of reference in the same way racists are justified because they think, non-whites are inferior, but that doesn't mean it's okay. And that's why we have collective idea sharing, and we can talk about what is right and wrong and show why there are things that are just objectively untrue. But yeah, people will always justify their beliefs. No one, very few people are operating and doing things because they believe they're the opposite of what they should do. But yeah, if you're a dipshit Trump supporter who believes all of the lies that he says, yeah, it makes sense to go do a January 6th. But unfortunately, that stuff isn't fucking based in reality.
Okay, $5 from Malik to say, I came here to make fun of Soy Jack, but Prime is just too retarded to ignore.
I don't know. You kind of won me over in that little rant at the end.
Okay, well, you're both wrong, and now I have a clip of saying that you'd let Biden rape your whole family and still vote
You
for
could have had that before. I've said it before.
Maybe.
I have a clip of you saying you don't care about the consequences of a Trump presidency as long as it affects you personally to vote for Biden. All right.
I don't think you had that clip, actually. I don't think I said that.
No, that was your argument.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, you're saying as
I
long
think
as
my
Biden
whole argument-
slights
okay,
me
you're
personally, I
distracted.
don't
You're
care
doing-
what the
now you're doing it
consequences
on
of Trump
purpose.
are.
Okay, $5 from Travak to say, please ask Prime Kai if he believes Hamas has done anything at all that he does not support. I'll even be nice and say he doesn't have to be specific.
Do you condemn Hamas, Prime?
Support October 7th. Support October 7th. Right? I don't support the butchering of those civilians. Of course not. In terms of the military targets that died, right? That's
Natalie,
fine,
did
right?
just Google Pol
Support
Pot?
that. I
That's
think they
hilarious.
should, as a revolutionary movement fighting imperialism, fighting an occupation, they should be able to take out military targets, being like soldiers and the whatnot, right? But in terms of attacking the civilians, no, I don't support that.
$5 from Alexander Rin to ask Soy Pill. At Soy Pill, wait, so you believe in objective truth? Where exactly are you getting that objectivity from?
Is if it's gonna do some fucking stupid like epistemic argument, like I believe in like cars
As long as
working
he keeps
because we
paying me, he can keep
look at the
making
science
arguments.
behind cars. It's like, whoa, how could it be
You
objective?
need
Because what
a
even is
God
real? It's like,
to
shut the fuck
have
up.
truth. You need a God to have truth. It's
Yeah,
that
shut.
simple.
Take it outside, God boy.
Okay, $5 from Old School to say this debate is giving me a headache and is pointless. Sorry, Wick. I'm going to go play Outer Worlds. W. Okay.
Who
Good
really
luck.
had the W if he paid you to say that?
Okay. Good luck. Okay. We have gone off the rails, and we have kind of reached the end of the 2 hours.
I
We
think that
filled this
there was
time.
only so much we could discuss on that.
Yes,
Like
and
we,
that's fine.
yeah,
That's fine. It
yeah.
was a good discussion for what it was worth. I want to give
Plant.
each. Oh,
What? No,
yeah.
you go ahead.
I want to give each of these people closing statements, closing thoughts, where they can tell you where they can find, where you can find them. I have links to their YouTube channels in my YouTube description. You can click on those links. You can give them a sub, and you know help them out because they gave us content tonight. We're gonna give them follows and things like that. If you enjoyed this show, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Okay. If you're watching this on Twitch, feel free to throw some bits, subs, all that. Um, if you are watching this on YouTube, super chats, memberships, all that is really good too. What do we got coming up? Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be having a debate on military intervention in Venezuela. Trump has been threatening it. There's been a carrier group that it's currently on its way to Venezuela, so it looks like there might be something in the works. Is this justified? What form of intervention would be justified in taking out Maduro, who is kind of a dictator? We're going to talk about it. It's going to be a great discussion. And then on Halloween, we're probably going to have open call-ins, and it should be fun. So bring your costumes. I'm going to be dressing up as a MAGA guy, so it should be
The scariest thing you can imagine.
yes, exactly.
Unless Joe Biden raped your family.
Yeah, actually. But let's give the mic first to Prime Kai, and then have Soy Pill have the last word. Prime Kai, go ahead. Closing thoughts.
Paying to rape other families is less scary than MAGA. But anyway, thank you all. I appreciate good friend Mick for being so kind as to invite me, even though he knows what's gonna happen. Right, like this. I would defy you to find an appearance of mine here where I didn't attack Wick. And if I did, then I apologize. Right? If there was one time when I didn't do it, I do apologize. But still, shout out to my friend Vic. Always appreciate him trying to include me. And I feel like we have like a good conversations. Shout out to Soy Pill, who I'm only just like getting to know. Haven't had that many discussions. It was nice to have a one-on-one conversation. I thought he was a fantastic interlocutor. So like if you haven't interacted with his content, please go ahead and do that. Seems pretty dope. But if you liked me, right? Or if you thought I was retarded like that one guy, right? But you're the type of person who gives super chat like that one guy, well then head over to my channel. YouTube.com and twitch.tv/ PrimeKai PrimeCayes. We love to have you. We have debates as well, right? Get super vitriolic. I embrace the chaos more than our friend Wick does here. And so if you like that, that sounds intriguing to you, then head on over. We definitely love to have you there. Yeah, thank you so much.
Go check him out, gang. If you like me or you hate me, blame Prime because he's how I got my start in this space. I used to go on his open panels back when I could stay up a little later than I can now. It was good times, good memes. Glad to have you, man. And next up, Soy Pill.
Yeah, unlike Wick, I'm vote blue no matter who. And right now it's not no matter who. Right now it's the primary. I'm seeing Graham Platner make mistakes that I don't want in a candidate. And that's, ultimately maybe not going to matter. Like Prime said, maybe he'll bounce back. And if it does, then I will support him as a Senate candidate in Maine. Right now it does look like Mills is the better option. And I think at least I'm happy because I enjoyed this conversation, Prime, and people should go follow him. I think we both agree it would be cool, and maybe this is idealistic, if Platner just stepped down and gave someone else 8 months to be the progressive, because I don't think he should be it. But If he wins, he wins. So we'll see what happens. I'm not very happy. To use Prime's analogy, my bottle of does this overflow? It's reached, and it's not for Prime, and I understand that. I don't think he's wrong to have that opinion. It's just a difference of values, so that's fine. But we could both agree that Wick should let Joe Biden into his house. Thanks for
Absolutely.
watching.
Absolutely.
I'll be
Be
streaming
consistent.
again. Yeah, be consistent, Wick. I'll be streaming again in 2 hours. But otherwise, yeah, everyone go follow Wick too, because he doesn't get enough love on these things, except for all the super chats that I don't get. So
I get the love. May not be the love I want, but it's the love I need. Thank you for being here. Always a pleasure to both of you. I'm going to say bye-bye to you and let you go now. Okay, bye-bye.
bye, guys.